Gosh. Oh my gosh, you guys. You're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe it. No one in America could have seen this coming. Okay? No one, not a single person in the country predicted that something could happen to Tyler Robinson. And as this thing unfolds, and I find myself in terrible fear for his life, I ask myself, what could we have done different? What could we have done to give this boy a chance? One life that could have been saved if only we wouldn't have made him a patsy for this thing. So, we're going to be talking about the new report where Tyler Robinson, in the least predictable development I've ever seen, is now apparently on the watch for the same problem that Pete had when he was in lockup in New York. Gosh. If only we lived in a world that was controlled by people writing scripts, because then something like this would never happen. Oh my gosh. I don't know, man. I don't know, So we'll go ahead and take a look at that claim, Also, I just saw Barron on Julian Dory's show. The first time I've seen one of my friends on a show, and I got a little bit jealous. Just a little bit. I was still happy for him. I was a little bit jealous, because I really like Julian Dory's show. I find him extraordinarily watchable and very pleasant. So we're going to watch some of that. He's talking about Lance Twiggs. I would fancy myself a Lance Twiggs expert because I did 10,000 videos on that kid. So we'll look at that. And then, what's funny though? I'm like, listen, I consider myself an expert on Lance Twiggs. No joke. In the first, I'm not joking around about this. In the first, let me see where it was. 90 seconds of the Barron and Julian Dory video, I learned something I didn't know about Lance Twiggs just from Barron talking. True story. That's a true story, dude. And that is me making up for the fact that I said I was jealous. I will throw flowers at my friends, but that is true. I really did. Okay, so there's all kinds of stuff that we should talk about too here. Like, dude, yesterday I did the, we could watch some of the Elizabeth Lane, Tucker Carlson episode for sure. We're going to watch some of the Nissy Social thing that she put out about Lance Twiggs. Also, dude, we got a show, man. And I'm in the mood to stream. And you know what that means? It means it's going to be fun. I also did an episode on that kid, the kid Nolan, whatever that, it's a video I put out this morning, the Nolan Wells case. And it's funny because like I watched a 16 minutes of a 2-hour video total on that case. And I'm like, I know what happened. And then like people in the comments are all, so if your theory is correct, how come XYZ? And I realize I'm like, shit, I don't know nothing about this motherfucking case, but I don't care. I still think I'm right about the, general framework of what happened. It's, I feel pretty confident about that. And in case you guys had not seen that video, my general opinion of what happened to the Nolan Wells kid is the following. Okay. They end up on Horn Island in Mississippi for 4th of July, which is a destination for people to slam booze down their throats and then look for girls to slam other things down their throats. That's the only reason anyone is there, period, right? It's 4th of July. It's going to be absolute mayhem chaos. It is going to be a drug and booze fueled, like it's going to be chaos, dude. So in those type of environments, you have much less awareness of what's going on around you, that type of thing. You also have a 10-mile boat ride in between the mainland and Horn Island with absolutely no one responsible for anything in between. This kid goes over there with his friends. He happens to be the lone black kid of this crew. Very unfortunate for the aftermath in terms of, how much attention and kind of like that really negative energy is being thrown at this. But they are all of his best friends, right? And at some point, everyone leaves Horn Island, and at 11 o'clock, kids call the black kid's mom, and they're all, "Hey, he's missing. We don't know where he is." She's like, "What do you mean he's missing? How do you know he's missing?" "Well, we have his phone and his keys." "Okay, where is it?" Shows up 2 days later, dead at Horn Island. No signs of trauma, etc. And I'm like, all right, I'll take a stab. He fell off the boat. No one knew. Solved. Like, there you go. And then they end up back on the mainland, and then they're finally looking around because fucking chaos. They're, dude, where's Nolan? Whose phone is this? Whose phone is this? I don't know. Look at it. Who's on the script? It's Nolan's. Where the fuck's Nolan, dude? Nolan. Dude, where's Nolan? Hey, have any of you guys seen? Nolan was on the boat, right? Yeah. He's on the boat. Where is he? Okay, this shit's not funny, man. Where is he? And then they realize he's gone. And he probably fell off in the middle of the ocean somewhere where he, they're holding on to hope, right? They said they left at 4:30. They're holding on to hope. Maybe, hopefully, someone saw him in the ocean and picked him up, maybe, right? Like he probably fell off, but maybe someone picked him up. The reason they don't call the mom until 11 is because they probably went back out looking for him and then realized this is impossible. Like they have like search parties for things like this. We're not going to be able to find him. And then they start to panic because they realize that, they're driving drunk, doing blow, whatever they're doing, and someone's going to go to prison for this. And then they make up a stupid lie that he wasn't on the boat. Oh, I don't know what happened to him. And now they're trapped in I Know What You Did Last Summer. That is the plot of I Know What You Did Last Summer, kind of. And that is what I think happened. You know what I mean? That's what I think happened. This is not confirmed. No, this is my hypothesis. If anybody pays close attention to like my kind of line of thinking when it comes to these things, it's like, what is the common thread? Oh my gosh, what could it be? It's like common thread is best friends don't kill each other. Okay. This is not a thing that happens. You could, it's something you could take for granted. It's like, I bet Jesse has a circle of really close friends. Like, yes, of course I do. Multiple. If someone asks, hey, let's kill this guy. Be like, huh? We're going to kill him. Why are we going to kill our friend? Because reasons. That's not real life. Okay. Friends kill friends if they have some enormous financial incentive, and that you could definitely point at the Charlie Kirk case, of course, maybe, but there's too many people involved. You don't commit capital murder with 25 accomplices because that's how you get caught, But in this case, I'm like, dude, these guys didn't kill this kid. And then so when I'm looking at all of the stuff that's being written about it, it's like it's the one black kid. It's the one black kid, and I'm like, are you guys looking at the same photographs? These are his best friends. They're best fucking friends, dude. These are like, does everybody come from a different world than I do? Do you think that like I have black friends? I only even notice they're black when I'm having this conversation where it's like, I would throw myself in front of a fucking truck for those guys. I would let them babysit my children for a week without me there. Like, it's just fucking people, man. Everybody needs to relax. It's the one black boy. And so, all of the usual suspects are out there. I'm looking at like Al Sharpton and shit out there. I'm like, Dude, the crew you're talking about who's this kid's best friends. What are we talking about, dude? What are we talking about? I realize Mississippi, black kid, bad history, terrible history, very, very relevant history in certain cases, just not this one. You know what I mean? Anyway, okay, so we are, you think they would have broken 2 minutes if he fell off the boat? How do you figure that? You are not factoring in many other circumstances as it relates to this case, okay? That area, our parents who are used to dealing with smaller town law enforcement, okay? They're not used to dealing with the FBI. So let's say the kids went home, told their parents, do you know what the parents are going to say? They're going to say, you shut your stupid fucking face and do not say another word about this at all, ever. There's nothing, I mean, or I don't know what I would have done. I'm just saying, like, the idea that they definitely would have just cracked under pressure if there's a handful of them who knew is not necessarily accurate. It's not, I mean, usually I bet on people to fold under questioning, but that assumes that there's someone competent questioning them. You know what I mean? Baze, why are you calling me in the middle of my stream, dude? What the fuck is going on? I'm just kidding. Yeah, what's up? I'm doing Sean Johnson's show. I'm booked tomorrow. Here, let me hit you up after the stream. All right, bye. Sorry, that was real Baze. I thought like he was gonna tell me. He's like, dude, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, dude. Stop talking about this case. You don't know what you're saying. I'm like, geez. All right, I know you guys could hear, dude. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, this must be important. I must be saying something really, really, really stupid. It's worth taking the call. Son of Ember Project, thank you very much. Exactly. Sometimes shit happens. And honestly, sometimes people get killed and sometimes people kill people for racist reasons. It's not like a thing that's obviously fucking happens. But like, the additional context is important, right? It's like, who are these suspects? They're all his drunk ass friends who were out at Horn Island with him. Let me tell you something else, dude. Do you know what a good indicator of how close of friends you are around is if you're on the same boat as them? Okay. Like that is, it sounds stupid, but anybody who's lived in an area where there's water and some people have boats, like there's limited seats, man. The people who get seats on those boats are super close friends or friends of super close friends. Like there's you're not letting someone on your boat that you have serious beef with. And it's not that often where you're going to have, you know what I mean? I heard that there's a guy who has some kind of, like I was talking to Aaron, Mr. Let Go this morning about it. He was filling me in on some of the additional details. I'm like, Jesus, I don't know dick about this fucking case, man. But, yeah. Anyway, okay, so let's actually go over to Tyler Robinson. I don't know how I just killed that much time with that, but let's see what this is right here. Okay. So someone's saying this is an old video, but this is Stu Peters that posted this yesterday at 9 p.m.
Leave you guys on a crazy weekend cliffhanger. I needed to get that information out as soon as possible. Obviously, you can probably see that I received some information.
All right. I just want to make sure that word doesn't get read. Okay. So she's okay. Whatever.
A communication, which answered a lot of questions that the public has had about the story, or rather the non-story that we are getting from the feds. The push that Tyler Robinson is this lone shooter, which they're trying to establish as a fact.
Oh, this is old, huh?
Some of the burning questions that we had. Okay, well, if he turned himself in, how did he also not confess? I now have the answers to that. The main point, the reason why this information came to me is because there's a narrative being spun right now by the media that Tyler Robinson is or was suicidal. That is not true. And that's a very scary thing when suddenly they're saying he's suicidal.
Okay. So Stu Peters posted this yesterday. Chat, is this old? I don't know. I mean, I feel like I saw this a long time ago. It was I mean, it's posted last night. Stu Peters posted it last night. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's continue.
Suicidal, and he's in solitary, and he's not suicidal. So that was the reason why this information urgently came to me. Obviously, I know a lot more, and I'm going to share it with you guys on Monday. I just wanted to vet some of the things that I heard, ask some more questions from people that would know.
All right. So I guess we'll find out this afternoon if, in fact, this is new information or not. Either way, we got tons of other stuff to talk to. Okay, so let's actually. I saw someone say something about the. Oh yeah, it's for sure still applies. Although, to be clear, I was a little bit surprised, and I'll tell you why. Because my theory is no longer, well, actually, I never really thought that they were going to just openly whack out Tyler. But my recent theory since the pre-trial has been that something's going to happen to Lance. And then Lance is going to have a confession note where they're going to pin it on Lance. Tyler gets to go free and he can go back to being whatever his real name is and whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, or I don't know. Like, I can't make heads or tails of what is going on in Utah other than to say very tight group out there. Very, very tight group. And none of this seems to make sense, Okay, let's actually watch some of the let's do this actually. Let's do the Nissy social because this has direct implications with Lance and all of this stuff. And then I'm going to pull up something else that she sent me that has that's connecting Lance Twiggs to the Destiny Discord, or I'm sorry, the Destiny Reddit group, which is interesting. Of course, I did a million videos on that before too.
Down a couple days, and then they said, "See, we told you we blame."
I have to bleep some of that because of the words he used, but I will reiterate what he said. He said before Charlie Kirk was unalived, 10 gender-confused people posted online that Charlie will be deleted when he comes to town. And this is true. Here's an example of one of those such tweets. On August 6, 2025, the X account Altaluge tweeted, "September 10th will be an interesting day." And after Charlie was unalived, this account tweeted, "I played the fifth." What's interesting about this account is that it is based in South America and had only been created a month prior in July. By August 6th, there were...
Hey, how often do we hear that story? How often do we now start to hear, oh, this factor of this case, hey guys, turns out the origin of this account or the origin of this magazine or the origin of this brand of witches or whatever was created 4.5 weeks before this incident. It's like, wow, it seems like someone was setting things up to spin a narrative, maybe. I don't know. This is where I get extremely conflicted speaking out loud because, I've made no secret about how I feel about this whole thing, about what I think is going on and my general support of said leader of that theory, if I am right. And when I start looking at this and I'm like, looks like someone cooked this up. I'm like, now I feel like I'm accidentally, I don't know, but I just say the words that are in my brain. I just say the words that are in my brain.
Plans underway for the comeback tour to go to UVU. However, it hadn't even been publicly announced yet. The announcement didn't happen until August 27th. However, August 6th also happens to be the day that Charlie Kirk said this on the Megyn Kelly show.
My moral character is now being put into question, Megyn. Not my decisions. Not like, hey, are you doing this? Is it smart or is it dumb? But no, I am a bad person if I do this.
Moreover, that same tweet had been retweeted by an account following Lance Twiggs, and that account itself had tweeted, "We effing did it." This is one example of many that I could show you, but that's not the most interesting part of what Alex Jones said. Let me replay the clip.
And all that stuff is exactly why I never even looked anywhere else except for those leftists for the first long period of time. Because I just was like, guys, I understand, like, you know, we got hyper focus over here, but they didn't make it a secret, man. Genius.
Again, but this time in its entirety.
Obviously, Israel killed him. And I'm not saying that couldn't be possible, but we were told day one that was it. And nobody wanted to talk about 10 days before saying he'll be dead when he comes to town in a couple days. And then they said, see, we told you we blame. And then we found out Cash Patel didn't want to interview them. I learned that from TPUSA at the top. We found out Cash Patel didn't want to interview them. I learned that from TPUSA at the top. We found out.
So what we're hearing there is that there were a bunch of people, quote unquote leftists, who had posted a bunch of stuff that was indicating foreknowledge of this incident, assassination, whatever. And Cash Patel did not want to interview them for some reason. And that would support whose theory? I don't know. Hard to say. But it is weird. I mean, like, weird enough to where when they were going with the, like, oh, Tyler Robinson did it by himself. The only thing, and I mean, this is easy I could verify this 100 different ways with conversations that I had offline. My thought the whole time was, I was like, okay, obviously the FBI is setting up on these people. Like, they're setting up on these guys. The only reason they're not openly going after them is because they're setting up on them, and they probably want to know, I mean, they know who they are, set up on them, and then use their network to capture all of these guys, like capture them all and then ring them all up. But it's like, nope, no, that's not what they were doing. It's like, why not? That's what I would have done, you know, if I cared about catching people and protecting, you know, whatever.
Cash Patel didn't want to interview them. I learned that from TPUSA at the top.
Excuse me.
So someone at the top of TPUSA told Alex Jones that Cash Patel didn't want to speak to these people who seemed to know that Charlie Kirk was going to be taken out. Why? Right now, Tyler Robinson is the only person who stands accused of taking the life of Charlie Kirk, and this has never sat right with me. I don't think it's a...
Geez, by the way, guys, this is Nissy Social. Fantastic channel, fantastic person, friend of mine. She's awesome. Go give her a follow.
It's right with most of us who have been closely following this case, regardless of whether or not you believe Tyler Robinson did this for his own personal ideological reasons, whether you believe he did this because he was blackmailed or manipulated into doing it, whether you believe he's currently being framed by some larger, more powerful group of people, regardless of which one of those categories you fall into, I think we can all agree that there is sufficient evidence that this wasn't a one-man operation. Hello, everyone. If you're a new viewer, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If this is your second, third, or fourth time watching one of my videos and you're not yet subscribed, we already go together. Okay, make it official and hit that subscribe button. Like I mentioned in the intro, in today's video, I'm going to be discussing the evidence of a larger conspiracy in the Charlie Kirk case. But before I get into all of that, I first want to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, the Wellness Company. When credible doctors start paying attention
no. Here, I'm gonna switch gears anyway, really quick, and show you guys something that I just saw that is absolutely hilarious. So here's this. So a buddy of mine sent this to me last night. This is actually more Barron that we're gonna look at real quick, and I'll ask you guys what you guys think this indicates, right? I'm not even doing the thing where I'm telling people what I think anymore. I'm just gonna go like, here you go, guys. Like, what do you think this means? They cleared out the hospital, right? Supposedly, they 66 Lester. Jesse, you ever fear for your life because of all you know? No, because the only things that I know or talk about are things that are publicly available information. You know, I mean, unless I sniff out, like if I sniff out something that I think is beyond that, I won't cover it. You know, this stuff is all just like, all right, well, I'm literally just taking information that is already out and going ipso facto, what do we think this means? But like, listen to me, dude. On the Nolan case, I listened to 16 minutes of it. I'm like, I know what happened. Like, If the people are like, we got to shut that guy up, man. Jeez, this guy is dangerous. It's like he literally just said that he was so confident that he'd make a video about a case that has like 1,000 details and he heard 3. I think we're good, dude. We don't need to kill this guy. We should probably just send him an email that's like, shut the fuck up, guy. Shut your stupid mouth. You're like the guy in the Mel Gibson movie Conspiracy Theory, where like all of a sudden he stumbles on something real and they're like, well, we should kill him. It's like, no, just tell him he got right. He got one right, dude. Just tell him to shut his dumb mouth is what I would say if I wanted to minimize my risk of murder. Okay, check this out, because this is a very interesting detail that I did not know.
What do you make of Kash Patel's involvement in this, that it should be national FBI on the scene, you know, tweeting about this? It just feels like that's not best practices for the government to make a case.
The FBI showed up very early. I think the first FBI agent showed up like 16 minutes after it happened, which was a little unusual to me. If it had been in downtown Salt Lake City, maybe. Orem, Utah's kind of out a little bit.
Yeah. See, I didn't know that. And I know that area very well. I've been to Orem many times. And I don't know where the FBI office is, but 16 minutes is obscenely fast no matter what. 16 minutes, dude? That is wild. You know what I mean? You're like, 16 minutes. They're like, well, let's put all of this information together and see if it indicates something larger than just Tyler did it by himself. Let's just do that. How about we just do, does it seem like something a little bit bigger than this guy did it by himself and hid it from his trans, who's not trans roommate, who was given immunity immediately after for some weird reason no one knows, but might have to do with things we're going to find out about right here in a second. But so you got all that. It's like, all right, so if Candace's report is correct, and like I said, dude, what do I know? You know what I mean? I'm just taking things that other people say. If what Candace said is correct, and 2 hours before Charlie was shot, an entire wing of the hospital that Charlie ends up getting taken to gets cleared out, you're all, wait, what? They cleared out the wing. Yeah. You ever heard of that happening at any other hospital for any reason? You ever heard of them having to clear out a wing of a hospital? Yes, I have. Really? When? Hurricane Katrina. It's like, was there a hurricane on the horizon in Utah? It's like, no, certainly not a weather created one, a hurricane of, assassination related reactions, but he hadn't been shot yet. You're all, So what do you make of that? Well, it sounds weird. It sounds like the blue and white team did it. Really? Why? What? How would that indicate them doing it? Well, because you have the government involved, and a lot of people would need to be involved to pull off something like that. The hospital. Yeah. What's the hospital for? It is for nursing people back to life. What else? It's also for, determining what killed a guy. There you go, dude. See, it could go either way. But you know what it doesn't indicate is some leftist weirdo who had never talked about Charlie Kirk, according to his, gay lover, was going to go up on a roof, do some weird army crawl, get down into the prone, and with, precision, whatever, just going to kill Charlie, get off there, and bang. He's going to, hey, I wonder if my fingerprints are on the rifle. Did you wear gloves? No, I just remembered just now that fingerprints are a part of traditional American investigations in 2026. I thought through the whole serial number thing, but I forgot about the fingerprints thing. I knew enough to bring a towel just in case I needed to ditch or hide the rifle, but gosh darn, if I would have remembered my gloves, then this could have all been avoided. You're like, I am not seeing a consistent level of analysis before this crime, and your text messages are so weird that I think I just don't believe them. What about the dual exhaust on one of the pictures of his vehicle and one, a single exhaust on the other? It's like, well, it's definitely the same car. Of course. People change from single exhaust to double exhaust all the time in reverse. That's the best part, dude. It's the dual exhaust in the video that is on campus, right? So like if it was a single exhaust on campus, you could go, well, maybe he, got dual exhaust installed. It's custom. It's like, maybe, but they're like, have you ever known anyone to customize their car by making it worse? No, not really. It's like, well, in this case they did. And it's important that you understand that. And for some reason, we can't show the license plate because that would probably clear these things up. But even if you had the license plate on there, you would have to question if someone else put his license plate on the car since it's clearly not the same car. You know what I mean? Let's continue. Oh my God. Oh. By the way, I just realized, you know what? Man, I have so many things I want to talk about today. Right after this, okay? Right after this, we are going to look at this new development in the Andrew Tate case, a maneuver that their attorney made where I was like, I mean, dude, it takes a lot for me to do one of these, like, are you sure that this is the angle you want to go, dude? One of the most reckless moves I have ever seen, messing around with the deep state, where you're all, I think that you might not truly understand your leverage position. This is crazy talk. You're like, we'll talk about that right after this, actually. But let's continue this part real quick.
From downtown. I don't know why the FBI had someone 16 minutes away that could respond so quickly. I don't remember if it's exactly 16 minutes, but it was under 20. They immediately are on the scene. And then Kash Patel is now tweeting, oh, we got the guy. Oh, well, no, in fact, we don't have the guy. Sorry, false alarm. Oh, we got the guy. Oh, sorry, we don't have the guy. False alarm. And now the FBI has possession.
By the way, that is one thing that gives me pause for sure. Because in my, in the WITSEC hypothesis, of course, that would put Kash on the inner circle of this thing. But Kash made a huge, huge blunder that I can't reconcile when it comes to that hoax. This is what I'm saying. You at the very least, I will be totally honest with everybody. Like I don't care about like, oh, I want this to be right. Like if I hear something, I'm like, oh, I don't know, man, that might not fit. That's one that does not necessarily fit because Kash, tweeted out, he's like, we got the guy. We've got him. He's cooked. And it was like, George Zinn, he looked like an idiot. He looked like an absolute moron. There's no reason that anyone who is on the inside of an intricate and complicated plan to tell a specific story would say that they have the guy when they don't yet. Like that does not fit. I mean, who knows? Could be some kind of mistake. I don't know. But that just in the interest of honest commentary, you know what I mean?
Of a lot of the evidence, and they're not turning it over. That's the key. The federal government has possession of evidence in a Utah County case, and they're not turning the evidence back over. They're not letting the defense examine the guns. They're not letting the defense examine the bullets. They're not letting the defense examine the fingerprint evidence and the DNA evidence. They're just like, hey, take our word for it. Well, no, we don't want to take your word for it. That's not.
I didn't understand this part before. Okay. So the defense is having to craft a case without being able to actually investigate on their own? They don't have access?
So far.
That sounds crazy. Has that ever happened?
Hey, they can craft a narrative based on the documented findings that, the federal government who wants to help the state convict Tyler Robinson found. Why would they need to look at the original evidence, right? Come on. I can't verify that they've never looked at it. I do know that, a few months ago when I covered it, for sure, they just opened, they're like, we still haven't even been able to look at this stuff. I don't know if Barron says, I'm sure he has verified it though.
Before?
I don't know. I mean, it's been 10 months. These reports were all done within about a week or two. We have no explanation why 10 months later, this stuff's not being turned over for the defense to review. And now they're telling us that in further examining the bullets, they might have to destroy them in order to do an additional examination. They might accidentally destroy the evidence without the defense ever having had a chance to look at it. And then we'll just have to take their word for it again. So
almost seems like they're trying to lose the case or something. Who knows? It's all so weird, man. It's just all So weird. Now we're going to come back to Barron in a second, but I wanted to go back to Nissy's video here real quick because there's some really good stuff in this video that I want to talk about here.
To the video. So the preliminary hearing for the Tyler Robinson trial happened, and I have to say I was just as surprised about what we learned as I was surprised about what we didn't learn. For instance, we have been told that Tyler Robinson's parents turned him in and gave statements to the police to that effect. However, none of that was presented at the hearing. Also, we never once got to see a clear video of Tyler Robinson's face, just someone who has the same shape and build as him, and we were told that that person is Tyler Robinson.
Wait a minute, dude. Hang on a second. I want to look at this because one of these guys is definitely a toe walker. We were talking about that during the trial, but that I got to see if that guy's toe walker.
A clear video of Tyler Robinson's face, just someone who has the same shape and build as him, and we were told that that person is Tyler Robinson, and maybe it's Tyler Robinson.
Dude, you could show me that video, that picture right there 1,000 times, and it's never going to look like Tyler Robinson to me. Even his body looks different. Like this guy looks like, I don't know, dude.
Then maybe it's Edward Norton. Who knows at this point? Honestly, with all of the information that was presented at the hearing and then going through some of the affidavits and reading through them, my biggest takeaway was that there was likely more people involved because a lot of the evidence and statements supported this. And I think Lance Twiggs was involved, and I'm going to explain to you why I think he was involved, but also later on in the video, I'm going to explain why I think they gave him immunity despite supposedly having all of this overwhelming evidence to indict Tyler Robinson.
So I've been talking to Sean Mike Kelly, who does these events where you get one person who's going to argue a specific position, and then you get a room full of people who are like, oh, I want my turn to argue with this guy. And he's been asking me to do it about this case, and I keep telling him no because I'm like, nah, man. My entire point is that I can evaluate how smart a person is by how willing they are to acknowledge that they have zero certainty about this case in any category, nearly any category. So how, like, what am I going to go argue where I can take a position of certainty and then argue against the room? And so what I landed on is I was like, I will do this if my position is Tyler Robinson should be acquitted based on the current evidence. And he's like, okay, that's fine. And so we're setting that up. And it's hilarious because the only reason I'm even saying this on a live stream right now is because it's 40 minutes in. I don't think that it's likely that a multi-hour live stream, anybody's going to look at this like 2-minute segment. But if someone was going to prepare for that, obviously they're going to be looking at my stuff. They're going to be like, wait, oh, that's the guy who did the series on Charlie, whatever. And that's why I just keep on coming back to the Lance thing, because if you want to win this case, it's easy. You just pin it on Lance. And it's so obvious and it's so overwhelming that it's like, it almost seems like they're doing it on purpose. You know, there's what is a single piece of evidence associated with this crime? A single thing, that is not directly attributable to Lance if Lance had decided to do this and then make it look like it was Tyler. I mean, I'm genuinely asking, you know, like I'm genuinely asking one piece of evidence that could not have been Lance as it relates to this crime, because I'm drawing a blank and I spent a lot of hours looking into this case, man. And that's why I'm like, okay, cool. I said on my show that I would win this case for 100% sure if I was Tyler's defense attorney. And it's like, I mean, I'll put my fucking money where my mouth is. I'll go do that. They can prepare all they want. There's no possible way to win against that argument because there is no evidence that Lance did not do it. That's reasonable doubt right there. And Lance, I mean, his fucking alibi is he said in his statement that he slept until between 12 and 1. Oh my gosh, what a coincidental time to be waking up. What time was Charlie shot again? They're all 12:30. It's like, oh, weird. And he said between 12 and 1 is when he woke up. Anybody to verify that? It's like, well, why would he lie? Why would this kid lie, man? I mean, come on. Why would he lie? Wait, why would the trans kid who is apparently a crazy person with a violent history, who's scribbling all kinds of crazy stuff into notebooks, why would he lie about a murder that happened if he committed the murder? I don't know. Why do you guys think you would fucking lie about that, dude? So dumb, dude.
But before I get into that, I first want to address a big hole in this case that online sleuths have pointed out. This is surveillance footage of a Dodge Challenger arriving at the UVU campus at 8:29 a.m. on September 10th, 2025. We have been told that this vehicle is Tyler Robinson's vehicle, and in the footage we see that the car parks. We also see that there is a shadow on the ground with a very interesting shape. Some call it coincidence, I call it foreshadowing. But anyways, when they played this footage in court, there was a 1-hour time jump. 1 hour of footage is missing, but it was never acknowledged during the hearing, nor in any of the affidavits of probable cause that I have read, which I find suspicious. The implication is that Tyler Robinson was sitting in his vehicle for that hour. However, it was never addressed, so we don't know what he was doing. Given the fact that after leaving the vehicle, he went to the courtyard where he made contact with a TPUSA representative, I think it's worth asking, why was he waiting for an hour? Was he waiting for that TPUSA representative to be available? Looking back at the footage, as the vehicle pulls into the park.
And on that point, very important. Okay. Very important. What is the most important thing to solve about what she just said? All of it's important, right? It's like this is a person who supposedly came there alone to commit this crime with no accomplices, right? If he's there that early, his purpose is to what? It is to, I guess, like stake the place out and see what it looks like. You would think he'd do it on a different day. The whole thing about changing outfits is super fucking weird. And it never made a lot of sense to me, but whatever. But if he's there to stake it out and see what's going on, like, why would he wait in his car for an hour before going out and doing that? Right? Like what would his, if I'm saying if he's doing it alone, why would he do that? And none of these are the most important question either. But if he's sitting in his car waiting for an hour, there is obviously a purpose for that. Only options I can think of are A, that he wanted to let the place kind of fill up a little bit more. So like he drove a really far length in order to get there, and he gets there a little bit early because he wanted to make sure he was there on time to do whatever his plan is. And he's in his car. He's like, they're probably not even going to have security and stuff set up yet. So it doesn't make sense for me to get out yet. I'll just sit and wait in the car. A. B, maybe he's shitting his pants. Unlikely, because he seems to be fine when he gets out. 3 is, I mean, I don't know. You guys can throw them out. But the main thing is like the most likely thing is that, well, I don't know about most likely, but certainly a likely thing would be that he's waiting to hear from someone that he's going to go meet them, right? Totally likely, like she said. But again, none of those things are the most important thing. The most important thing is who the fuck is in the car? Okay? Who's in the fucking car, man? It's like all of this stuff is irrelevant if you don't know who is in the car. And then you get to this part and it's like, oh, it's not Tyler's car, or at the very least, the car that they're showing as impounded and Tyler's is a different car. Well, we need to know if that one is not actually Tyler's car, because whoever is driving this car is not in the same car. And so you can analyze this into the ground, but if you can't verify who the guy is, it's irrelevant what he's doing, because you don't even have verification that it's the guy that you have in custody. It's just like, where is the evidence that it is Tyler Robinson personally? License plate, illegible. And on the stand, detective says, how do you know that's Tyler's car? Well, from descriptions of the car and his records. And you're like, description of his car. Yeah, he has a gray Dodge Charger. Nice. And so you saw a Dodge Charger and assumed it's him because why? Because his parents or something who recognized this weird image of him that doesn't look like him at all. And when they confronted him, he said, oh my God, yes, I did do it, mommy. I did it. I killed Charlie. But then he never confessed to the cops. The parents are not verifying that in any way, to the point where they're not even going to make it part of the prosecution's case. And the grandpa's on video or on a recording admitting that he doesn't think Tyler did it. So what the parents told him, hey, Tyler told us that he committed this murder, and the grandpa in a candid got caught on a recording tape is like, Well, I still think he didn't do it. What are you talking about? None of this adds up. You can't even consider the parents turned him in as any kind of factual argument that you can bring to the table. And now I'm talking about, like, let's say I debate people. They're like, his parents are the ones who said he did it and turned him in. Based on who says? Well, I read it in in CNN. Oh, cool. Well, I just got done watching the entire pretrial hearing, and there is zero mention of that being the case. None. The parents are not cooperating. And you want to know what else we heard? Is the family deny that they believe he did it. That's on record. What other record do we have that they think he did it, that he confessed and they turned him in? None? Cool. Or he confessed on his Discord. Oh, okay, cool. You want to get into what time that was versus when he went into custody? Or he confessed in the text messages. You want to get into what time that was and the likelihood that he would have been sending those text messages at that time? It was almost midnight. He's talking about being out in front of the park. It sounds like it's 5 p.m. or 3 p.m. But they're sent at 11:30 p.m. Does that make sense? No? Cool. None of it makes any sense.
Garage, we get a glimpse of the exhaust pipes, and we see there are 2 on each side. This is very distinct and very important. Just for comparison, here is footage of law enforcement towing away Tyler Robinson's vehicle from his parents' house. This car that law enforcement confiscated, that we are told is Tyler Robinson's vehicle, only has 1 exhaust pipe on each side, not 2. So what's up with that?
I think you're trying to trick me.
According to my research, there is no Dodge Challenger model that comes with this quad exhaust tip from the factory, meaning that the owner would have had that modification made. And the vehicle that was towed from Tyler Robinson's parents' house doesn't appear to have that exhaust modification. So whose Dodge Challenger is this?
You want to know whose Dodge that is in the event that is Tyler or someone who committed that murder? Let's say it was Tyler and he did this crime, and then all of the facts of this are true. He's a fucking genius is what he is, dude. He gets on, goes there in his own car, and then somehow, like, let's say he knows how to switch exhaust pipes or whatever. He knows how to do that himself. He gets in there and then switches his exhaust pipe in the opposite direction of how anyone ever changes the number of exhaust pipes that are, attached to their vehicle. And so it's like, and that's just his little, like, ace in the hole. It's like, well, here's your license plate. He's like, yeah, but that's not my car. He's like, these incompetent people won't even notice the fact that there's 1 less, exhaust pipe on my vehicle when they impound it. And then guess what? When I'm in court, it's like, that's not mine. Someone must have stolen my license plate and framed me. Genius. That's super genius level if he did that, but he didn't. So.
And the surveillance footage played in court. One thing that piqued my interest was that when Officer Hall was asked why he believes this vehicle belongs to Tyler Robinson, he said this.
2025.
And what leads you to believe that this particular vehicle belongs to Mr. Robinson?
Information that was provided regards to driver's license and Department of Motor Vehicle records. The vehicle fits the description of a vehicle owned by Mr. Robinson.
This was interesting to me because I expected him to say, we ran the license plate and the license plate came back that the vehicle was registered to Tyler Robinson. He doesn't say that.
Which begs the question, how did they know that this was Tyler in the first place? How? I just put someone in timeout because they said I was a grifter. Now you sit over there for 5 minutes, the time that I gave you, and think about how you're going to back that statement up. We'll give you one more chance. Which part is the grift? Which part of what I said is not factually accurate or completely logical and makes perfect sense? I don't like when people come in and say dumb shit without address something I'm saying specifically. Call me a grifter, but follow it up with here's why. Because otherwise it's just dumb. I don't care if people talk shit at all. You just it's a very specific way you need to talk shit for me to because then it's interesting. What are you saying I'm grifting about specifically? I've been open about what I think happened in every direction. And again, that dual exhaust pipe, reduce it. That would be so smart. I just thought of it right now. You know what I mean? Wait, where's JD Delay? Is JD in here? Someone's talking to JD but I don't see him. If he's on here, what's up, dude? I'm going to talk about Andrew Tate here in a second, dude. You're going to enjoy it a lot because his lawyer made a very impactful decision on the future of his own life, I think. Let's continue.
Says based on Tyler Robinson's license records, he owns a vehicle that fits this description. And in the footage that was played in court, it seems the license plate was illegible, at least from what we can see in this YouTube video. So how do we know that this is the vehicle that Tyler Robinson owns and not someone else's car? And if it's not his vehicle, then who does it belong to? The first person that I considered was Lance Twiggs. Does this vehicle have something to do with him? Lance Twiggs appears to be a spoiled brat, in my opinion. His parents...
What's up, dude? Let's stream this week. Dan wants to stream too. We should do one with me, you, Valhalla, and Dan, dude. Sometime this week for sure.
Seem to make good money from what I found in my research, and Lance's grandfather is a wealthy pediatric doctor who owns tons of real estate, including 4 townhouse units.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate your super chat. And yes, that is exactly what I would call myself. Truth seeker / attempt to make everything entertaining, even if it's not very, whatever it is, I'll try to make it entertaining. I promise.
It's in the subdivision that Lance and Tyler Robinson had been living in. Lance's great-grandfather was Jerry Thomas Twiggs, a Republican member of the Idaho Senate from the 31st District from 1986 to 2000. When I learned this, I considered if this is why Lance Twiggs has been getting preferential treatment in this case. I know some people have theorized that he's a federal asset, and I mean, that's very possible. I'm not even going to debate that, because it's very possible, but it also could be that his family is just very wealthy and very connected, and that is what's keeping him protected. I mean, even Mark Garagos, a very powerful and experienced lawyer who has represented people like Michael Jackson, even he commented on it.
I don't know if you know who is Lance Twiggs' lawyer, because he should get Lawyer of the Year. Because in any other jurisdiction, Lance Twiggs would be sitting right next to Tyler Robinson at the defendant's table. There is as much evidence against Lance Twiggs for being a co-conspirator as there is against Tyler Robinson for doing this.
I agree with Mark Garagos. It is interesting how Lance Twiggs has never been considered a co-conspirator despite the evidence.
Dude, that's dumb. That's not a thing I do. But I just saw someone saying, someone said, hold on. Was that one of my mods calling me 5'6"? Because that's funny, Hey, just getting a free shot at, even when they're my mods, they know I'll laugh at that, dude. Not that there's anything wrong with being 5'6". I just am not that height. I'm 5'3".
But let's just go back to this mysterious vehicle for a moment. When Lance and Tyler lived together in the townhouse, the unit that they lived in belonged to Lance's grandfather. Like I mentioned, he owns 4 units in that complex. And Lance drove, and still does drive, an Infiniti X35, which I don't believe actually belongs to him. Based on how his family and friends have described him, they say he's always playing video games, he abuses substances, he has mental health issues. He's not a very productive member of society, so that vehicle probably belongs to his grandfather. And in Turkey Tom's video, where he spoke to a mutual friend of Lance and Tyler, the friend mentioned a time where Lance's grandfather had taken the car away.
Eventually, my friend who lived across...
This is wildly thorough research, by the way. Like, I've seen, dude, I saw Turkey Tom sing 100 times. Like, how she caught this. Nissy does such good research, man. I'm telling you, like, she got a steel trap memory.
The street from their apartment let me know that Lance had gotten into an argument with his grandpa, who owned the apartment, and his grandpa had taken his car away.
So you're probably wondering, what's my point? Well, my point is that Lance Twiggs was driving vehicles that didn't belong to him. He was driving vehicles that belonged to his grandfather. So what vehicles does his grandfather own? I did a background check on the grandfather, and it showed that he has 15 vehicles underneath his name. However, with the search that I did, I wasn't able to see every vehicle underneath his name. Privacy laws in America when it comes to vehicles are pretty strict, and so it's difficult to get this type of information. But of the 15 vehicles that I could see that are underneath his name, I can see the make and model of 5 of them. There is a 1999 Chevrolet Silverado 1500, a 2004 GMC Sierra 2500 HD, a 2004 Dodge Caravan, a 2007 GMC Sierra 1500, and a 2008 Dodge Charger. Now, there is one thing that all of those vehicles have in common. They are American brands. Lance's grandfather appears to have a preference for those type of cars. So I wonder if one of those 10 vehicles that I'm not able to see that are registered underneath his name, I wonder if one of those is a Dodge Challenger. It is showing that there's a Dodge Charger underneath his name, so it's not that far of a stretch. I don't know if he does. I'm just speculating, but in the event...
Let me say something here. So one of the reasons I like doing live streams is because when I know it's going to be like a multi-hour show, I can make points that I would never take up any time to talk about, during a regular video. And what I have been thinking about lately is how if like government investigation units or, bureaus or whatever were run like private organizations where it's capitalist. They try to find the best people all over the place and then recruit them and then incentivize them to come work for them with, high dollar numbers. Watching a case like this or any of these cases on the internet is like, why even interview anyone? Just watch their shows and then get in touch with them and go, who's doing your research? If they're like, I'm doing it myself. It's like, dude, you're fucking hired. Like, that is such a smart deduction. It's like, oh, I can only see 5, so I can't really tell. But she pulls out of it. She's like, but they are all American made and Dodge is American. It's like, that's sharp. That doesn't mean that she's, she hasn't made any conclusion, but like she finds everything. Someone who runs some kind of private investigator. I'm like, private investigator? Is that a thing? I don't know if there's any money in that or whatever, but like there are a lot of people who do what I do who are exceptional at this, way better than me. If you want to hire me, that's very simple. You hire me to do strategy on how to roll things out, where it's like, we're going to plan this and here is what the impact is going to be on said population. That's what I'm good at, is what I would say if I was looking for a job, which I'm not. But let's continue.
He does have a Dodge Challenger in his name. I wonder if Lance had access to it because, Lance's alibi for September 10th was that he was at home sleeping until 1 p.m.
All right, so what time did you get up on September 10th?
Probably like 12 to 1 p.m.
You didn't have to work that day?
No.
This whole thing is just very off to me. And Spidey from the Behavioral Arts YouTube channel, he noticed something very important in the Lance Twiggs pre-recorded deposition, and I want to play it for you guys. Here's what he said.
When I was editing last week's video, and when I was talking about their text exchange, I pulled it up.
This part actually doesn't apply, and she put a like a note on it that like, because what he's going to say is that my dad's been hardcore MAGA thing doesn't fit into the conversation, but then she put like a correction up top that said that when she looked further into it, that comment was the result of additional conversation that they had not included in what they released. But you know what, dude? I will respond to that and say, doesn't matter. There isn't any overcoming that conclusion. You know what? Let me tell you or show you exactly what he says, because it actually still does apply.
And I saw 2 lines that I had forgotten about the specific wording that made me go, hold on a second. Something is off. So here's what the 2 discrepancies are, starting with the smaller of the 2. In his interview, Lance Twiggs is asked if Tyler ever talked about Charlie Kirk, and he says no, and you guys could go back and look at my analysis of that. And he goes on to say that if he did talk about politics stuff, it was relating to Trump or current policies and so on and so on.
Usually if he did talk about politics stuff, it was relating to Trump or current policies.
So he complained about Trump. That's the thing he complained about. But if we look at the texts, we'll notice that Tyler...
He also said if. He said if he talks about it, he talked about that. but nonetheless.
Sent him a text in the midst of this whole thing. He's, fleeing the scene and he just did this act and he's talking about what's going on. He sends this specific text saying, since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. So it's like this piece of information, this one text just to inform Lance about his dad and his MAGA-ness following Trump's election. But that wouldn't be necessary because if he's complained about Trump all this time and they're roommates and they used to have a relationship and they've talked about this stuff, he wouldn't need to.
Okay. I misunderstood what her note was anyway. So my dad is what was added, not the fact that because that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, like, it doesn't matter what other context was in the text thread, because at the end of the day, the problem with that statement is you live with the guy, you're his boyfriend. This is September 2025. That is well past the amount of time it would take for someone to mention that their dad is hardcore MAGA in the event that you are the opposite of that, especially when you're 21, 22 years old and you have nothing going on except dressing like a pirate to play video games. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, And Sky Valdez, that's a whole other ball of wax that if that ends up being where this thing goes, Sky Valdez, I will literally laugh out loud, dude. Be like, really? It took this long for people like you guys. I just assumed you guys had looked at that person, given the fact that they wrote a song called Charlie Kirk Dead at 31 and posted it 3 weeks before Charlie got shot, and also put up a hand-drawn shooter on a roof, like a hand-drawn shooter on the roof the same day. And it looks exactly like, did that picture have 9/10 on it? It's been so long, I don't even remember, but I can go back and look at that too, Radine, thank you very much. Thank you for sharing new insights, you and Gabi. Thank you very much. And I am very excited to show you the new insights on Charlie. Like on the Andrew Tate thing, this is actually funny, dude, that they did this. Thin Blue Light, what's up, dude? Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you, guy. What do you think the chances are that Lance rented a car from that car sharing at Toro, switched out the plates, did the shooting, and you could take it from there? It's definitely possible. It's totally possible. Here's the other thing, though, is because I am like uncertain about things, but I kind of like go in a couple different directions. And this particular thought that I have is kind of in both. But when I watched the Lance Twiggs testimony, something that I notice is his energy is wrong for him having been involved, in my estimation. Like when I watch him and I'm evaluating what his energy should be if he actually framed Tyler Robinson for this, or if he's the one if he was involved in any way, right? Now, it's possible that the kid's on all kinds of, medications that change the way he experiences emotion, which is almost likely in that case, actually, now that I'm saying it out loud. But if someone who is not an experienced criminal finds himself answering questions about a public murder that they were involved in, and they know if they get caught, they are going to the electric chair or going to prison forever, it's going to be very, very, very hard for someone who is not elite skill at managing what they put out, for them to be able to deliver that much, speaking on camera without giving me any indication where I'm like, he's scared. That guy's scared. And like, I realize here's the thing, like when I say stuff like that, I'm not saying that I'm unique in this category. I guarantee that there are at least, 5 to 10% of people who know exactly what I'm saying, because they experience things the same way. They're like, yes, I know. I always know if someone's scared. It's like, it's just something that some people can do very, very easily and other people can't. And like with him, the larger the emotional reaction would be, the easier it is to spot the absence of it or the presence of it. It's like, why is this person not, oh, this guy's hanging off of, he's about to fall to his death. And he's like, la, 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 doesn't look like he's afraid. What's going on there, But it's like, I mean, honestly, that actually isn't even that crazy of an example in some of the comparisons to this case, where it's like you have an active someone shot a guy right in front of them, right? Like, if it's the only way you could make it more scary for the people who are there is like if they had a red dot on their chest right after that. Outside of that, it's like you should be terrified. You just saw a guy get killed, right? So why are you not scared? But Lance does not appear to me to be a person who is weighing the fact that if he fucks this up, he could potentially get the electric chair. And that is exactly what I've said about watching people at TBUSA. It's like, yeah, they're not showing grief, but they're also not showing any signs of fear that in the event they get caught and this goes down, that they are facing consequences on that level. So, I don't know. It'd be hard for all of them to be able to pull that off, in my opinion. You know what I mean? April Lewis, thank you very much. The comment right under the video by Josh Knows that says we're dumb for thinking Tyler Robinson would be removed if he's a patsy. If Tyler Robinson is removed or pleads to avoid the death penalty, then the trial never happens. Tyler Robinson forever lone gunman. Exactly. And that's why I was saying that, my whole thing is in the event that this is something different and they just want the whole thing to go away without having to convict anyone and send them to prison or give them the death penalty, whatever. If Lance, and I'm not even saying necessarily he's actually, it's just like, but if the story, and he's like, guys, I have to confess the truth before I go meet my maker. I don't want this on my jacket when I go to the pearly gates. It was me that killed Charlie. On that day, I realized that I was going to make a pirate joke, but in the event that he does that, the fact that people are acting like they can't see that, it's like, how could anyone have watched that preliminary hearing and not be saying Lance is on every piece of evidence? The only thing that they have as a witness, the only person they have as a witness that really is like, this guy did X is Lance, and his DNA is on every single piece of evidence. And his story makes no sense. Like, the only thing it's like, how are you guys not all saying this? Have they just like never seen any of my content at all, or any of the other people's content who's talking about this? Because as soon as you say that, like if you're TPUSA or whoever else, it's like, you're not even contradicting your own, what you've been saying. You guys said leftist did it. He's a leftist, but do you want to make sure that you execute the right leftist? Or, because if they're acting like they don't see it, you have to ask yourself, okay, well, why? Where's this going? Shabbat Lubitsch, operative Ben Shapiro open. Okay. I don't know what that means, but thank you for the super chat. Let me show. Okay. So let me go over here and show you guys this. Oh, let's watch some of the Elizabeth Lane interview here. I want to just make sure that I do the right one, because I have a video coming out later where I watched Paramount Tactical's response to her, and I was like, okay, well, I should put her thing up prior to that video going out. So let's do this, dude. So who are they? Okay, there we go. Let's do this right here.
Very, passionately. So Jeremy Corbyn was not the only one. They had somebody called I gotta look, sorry.
So she's going to be talking about the I've been meaning to watch this literally since it came out a couple days ago, and I'm embarrassed I haven't watched it, but I'm watching it now, and she's going to be talking about a lot of the kind of the organized whatever you would call it over there, people who are like, hey, we saw perfect HD footage, and then like all the stuff that's on X when like the same messaging gets pounded out. Like that's what she's going to be addressing in this video here. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. What am I doing? I need to go show you super quick what the Tate thing is. Super fast, because this is absolutely hilarious first. Okay. So I promised you guys that, and I'm going to deliver on that because it is absolutely bananas. Okay. So check this out. Okay. So this is Andrew Tate's attorney, who is apparently making decisions about how they want to manage the fact that he's not being let out of prison by the Trump administration. Okay. So check this out real quick, and then we'll move right along, dude.
This case and threatens people and talks.
The Secretary of State is, of course, Marco Rubio. Look, Marco Rubio has a son who plays football in college in Florida right now. One allegation against his son, and his son's life is over.
Andrew Tate's lawyer is clearly threatening Marco Rubio's son. All right, everybody.
Yeah, I don't know how to interpret that any different either. You know, like I saw that and I was like, oh, like there's only a couple things that could mean, and all of them are insane that he actually just did that, right? Like that is, I mean, would anybody disagree? That sounds like a threat to Marco Rubio, who is the Secretary of State, who in the event that they did get them out of that Romanian jail, very likely would have been involved in that somehow because he's the Secretary of State, right? I feel like sometimes people are, I feel like people are not as clear on what the Secretary of State does sometimes, and they don't realize how powerful that like position is. That is not a person you want to fuck with just on the role itself, but even more so if you're going to threaten someone's kid, like that's a threat to his kid. Hey, what if one single allegation, his life is over? And you're like, so the way I interpreted that is that means that maybe there was an accusation. And by the way, Marco Rubio, we got no fucking problems, guy. Like none at all. I'm saying this guy's a moron for saying this. I am just speaking my brain. You're doing a great job. I am not talking shit at all. If you guys like, that's the other thing, dude. Hey, are you evaluating who you're talking about, dude? Does this guy strike you as someone who's going to take that and just be like, oh, okay, I guess I should do what they say, versus he's going to be like, take everything he has. Every single thing. Drain his bank account, take his wife, take his whatever. Just bury him. You threatened this kid. Anyway, so I look at that and I'm like, that would be like, let's just say it was not Marco Rubio and we're talking about someone else's kid. If I heard that, I'd be like, oh, it sounds like they might know of some kind of accusation that was buried and that might be being used by people as leverage potentially, right? It's like, because if you think about it, I don't know. That was an interesting pick from the beginning. And when you really think about who might have been, going here, put them there, put them there, put them there. And you think about their kind of, their ways of exerting power, who knows, right? But Marco Rubio is like, if you look at that guy's face and you're all, yep, that seems like the guy. He seems like the guy that I'll fuck. Like he's going to fold. He's going to fold. It's like, again, I realize a lot of people are not, as good at this as possible, like as other people. But let me just, again, if you've never seen him speak and looked at him like that, why don't you take a little gander at this dude's eyeballs and then evaluate how he's going to respond to you threatening his child.
Without even paying them. We had an ambassador, a U.S. ambassador. What people forget that when it comes to things like espionage and influence operations, they actually are an influence and espionage superpower. If you look at the history of espionage in the United States, Cuba is the only country that consistently has implanted and embedded spies in our system.
Dude. I feel like also that sometimes people don't realize that like the biggest gangsters in the world, the scariest dudes on earth, okay, this is exactly what they're wearing, dude. Okay, like this is their outfit. You got, clean cut guy, no reason to be concerned. You're all, what, dude? Have you seen that Kevin Spacey? What the fuck? I can't remember. That's terrible. I forgot this show, but it doesn't matter. It's like that dude has never taken a backward step in his entire life. and he's one of the most powerful people on planet Earth, and you threatened his kid over Andrew Tate, dude. Maybe, dude. Maybe it was just he was just talking. I mean, I don't know anything, man. I don't know anything about Tates. I don't know anything about the lawyer. I don't know, man. I'm just talking. Just my opinion, Just my opinion. Good luck with that defamation lawsuit now, dude. Just saying. Hopefully you were joking and you have his phone number so you can be like, I was just kidding, dude. But I would put on timeout if I wasn't so deeply hurt by your comment. I'm going to put my sunglasses back on while I cry. Fuck you. Just kidding. I will say, though, that move would, to me, indicate that they like that sounds like they're playing, like they're like, do anything to get me out of this. You know what I mean?
Sorry. It's a lot of names. Pedro Bados or something like that. So anyway, a Spanish military guy. So this Pedro was considered for one of the highest positions in national security in Spain. I looked him up. He's a decent guy. Like, he just has his own channel, like talks about politics, opposes globalism with everything he can. So they decided that Pedro Banos was going to be a Russian agent, even though he had no connections to Russia whatsoever. So yeah, they started writing pieces that Pedro can never be part of national security in Spain because he's a Russian agent, he's a Putin puppet. So anyway, the same exact thing. The tactics never change. You're Russian agents, therefore you don't get to be in positions like of power, right? So they destroyed Pedro Banos' candidacy. He did not go and occupy the post that he was named for. So they completely destroyed him.
Wow.
So they have power. Yes.
So who are they exactly?
Yeah. So this is where we get to the most important part. Okay. Well, everything I'm going to say from their own words and their own charts and what they wrote in those HEC documents. And this is one of the charts I brought you. These are they, by the way.
And so real quick. So you guys know, I've known Elizabeth for a very long time. Like, so I met her, I moved to Austin in March or April of 2020. I'm sorry, 2021, March or April of 2021. And I met her literally like inside of 3 weeks of being here. And we've been cool since then. We've talked about all kinds of stuff. And of all the females that I know, aside from Candace, this is the one who is most likely to be like, oh, what? She's like like if Candace is a dragon, Elizabeth is like I don't know. Think of something that's gonna just like that's gonna blow up your house. That's gonna just blow up your house. Luckily, me and her are cool. But if you guys missed it, when she was going back and forth with Paramount before, this I don't know, at least like what's going on right now happened. She called him a "see you next Tuesday" 50 times on X. And I was like, oh my God, dude. Like, he's gonna, and then he snapped and he was posting about her over and 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 over, like back and forth, back. Like it was like, it was a very explosive exchange. And I knew when that happened, I was like, shit, there's no, this is death match now, dude. This is never going to end, ever.
I don't know if you can see it, but these are journalists. These are intel officers.
And I meant figuratively blow up your house, by the way. I just realized I meant metaphorically blow up your house. And I meant like, your public persona, not actually blowing up anyone's house.
And everyone that was on the chart, I don't know if you can see it, but I can explain it. So, I don't want to confuse people by lots of names. So I'm going to give you the most important names that kind of drove the show, right? Chris Donnelly was one of them. And Chris Donnelly is a British army intelligence officer. He was the one who got the funds for something called Integrity Initiative. And you know who paid the money? British Foreign Office. Yes. So you have a think tank running an operation in the media that is funded by British Foreign Office, and we know nothing about it. Okay?
And its stated purpose was what? Just to
Fight Russian disinformation. But they are doing it through intel officers. And how is that justified? And they have these journalists assigned in every country, which we will talk about. As you can see, there's a network management there. So they have these journalists assigned to different countries.
Obviously, like playing devil's advocate, like it would be justified in the event that there is negative American propaganda being thrown into our system all the time. It's like, and so like if you have foreign intelligence that is spending money or implementing negative propaganda, it would stand to reason that it's going to be, either domestic or allied funded intelligence propaganda that would combat that, is what I would say, as long as she didn't, bite my throat afterwards.
Teams, how they're going to fight this Russian disinformation, right? So one of them was Jessica Aro from Finland. Have you ever heard of her?
No.
No one has. The only people who know who Jessica Aro is, people in Finland, okay? So because I'm not an expert in Finland, when I started investigating this network, I said, I need people on the ground, independent journalists who will help me identify what this Jessica Aro actually did, right? So they advised me to reach out to 4 different Finnish journalists. I made sure to pick the ones that are completely independent. I said, I want journalists with 2-bedroom apartments, nothing more. Like I need people who have no money and are in it for the good. So they advised 4 different people. Okay. 2 of them knew each other. The other 2 was on the other side of the political spectrum. So they didn't really communicate, which is exactly what I wanted, because you're getting 2 different perspectives. I kid you not. Every single one of them, when I mentioned this hack, said, look into Jessica Aro. Without exceptions.
I'm so scared of her that as soon at both times she said Jessica Aro, I thought she was going to say Jesse on Fire. And I was like, God, she heard me, dude. And it's like, this is recorded 3 days ago. I'm like, I know, dude. I'm just kidding. Listening during ketamine therapy and gosh, rolling on the floor. I need this. I got you, dude. That's my goal, is to make sure that people who are on, IV induced psychedelics or I think it's a psychedelic, I don't know, are entertained by my voice. Marco is Michael Cole. Yes, dude. Dude. Marco Rubio, people, again, I can't stress that enough. Like that dude, I won 0 fucking smoke with that guy. Why do you think they chose Tyler as a patsy? Excellent question. I've talked about this many times, and I will reiterate right now, which is, that it's either he's in on it or they chose him because he had been downloading horrifying stuff from Tor browsers. It's like the idea that people can actually anonymously browse and anonymously consume all this horrifying stuff and they'll never get found out at least I don't think that who knows? Not something I've really looked into, but I would assume that if you were going to pick a patsy, that's how you do it, because you need a reason that I always kind of operate from the perspective that most people need to be able to tell themselves a story that they're the good guys. And if you're going to do something that's going to be negative to another person, you need to justify that with them deserving it. And so in the case of patsies, that's how you do it. It's like, oh, hey, how many hours of, baby grape did you have on your computer? You like that stuff? You like watching that, huh? Cool. I'll just keep that in mind for the future of your life. You know what I mean? Show my pupils, bro. You think that's why I'm wearing shades? It's like, God, he's so fucked up, dude. He needs to hide his eyes. I just think it's hilarious. Like I watched Tim Dillon do it and I was like, I did it as a joke. And then I was like, I actually really like this. I don't know why. I can't explain it. I got no issue showing my eyeballs. Obviously, I do all my videos with my sunglasses off, but I really like to stream with them on, dude. I think it's really, really fun.
Single one. This is the woman you need to look into. She's a deep state operative. So then So then I started asking, what did she do? And one of the journalists said, well, she ruined independent journalists and their careers and their lives. Yeah. So I'll tell you her direct story coming from her own mouth. Okay. She said she had a nice career like you did on actual network. She even worked for BBC. And when she started telling the truth about Russian-Ukrainian war, she got fired. So she was like, okay, well, I get fired. I don't care. Like, I'm going to, do what you did, start her own thing. And after she started her own thing, they just started hammering her. You're a Russian agent. You're a Russian puppet. You work for another government. The same exact strategy, Tucker. It got so bad that her neighbor called the authorities on her.
Yeah, that sounds like Finland.
Yes, that is.
I'm part Finnish. I can say this.
Hang on a second, dude. You, sir, are going in timeout. Think about what you did. I told you, dude, you can't do that. The Fed stuff, dude, I'm putting you guys on timeout. Shit is boring, man. Shit is boring. Okay, so does anybody know where the section is? And I apologize. You know what, dude? Let me just ask her. Because I want to see the part where she talked about Paramount Tactical. And I'm just going to ask her right now. And then I will. Did someone just. What the fuck? Are people blowing me up on. I don't even know what the fuck is going on. Oh, never mind. Okay, I'm gonna text her, but let me. Where does the money come from? NATO's social media experiment. What's the connect? Okay, hang on. I'm gonna pull up this while I go and find that, and I'm gonna show you guys this instead. And dude, you know what? I've been meaning to show this on streams for literally multiple days. This is Mark Garagos's take on the trial. And I'm going to fast forward here to some of the stuff where he's like, yeah, there's no way that this guy, like the prosecution blew up their own narrative with the trial.
That they're using to place the car that Tyler Robinson owned. He said the ring camera footage, they have the car driving by near the campus, but it's got a bald guy and 3 other unknown people. He testified to this. What is going on here? Because in my experience, lone gunmen act alone. So I don't really understand. Could you clarify? I mean, is this just sort of?
I think this is precisely what happens when you do what we call a hearsay prelim, where you just introduce things because you think if you're a prosecutor, it's the perfunctory way to get the evidence in. And when it turns out that the evidence can be viewed or is susceptible of 2 interpretations, by the way, that's the definition of reasonable doubt, 2 reasonable interpretations. And the other thing that was particularly annoying about that hearing is the way that the prosecutor would show grainy footage and then suggest or say, well, there's Tyler Robinson shooting. Well, you can't tell that. There's nobody you can.
Thank you. Like obviously I know that Garagos is just going to be saying things that we've all been saying, but like this is one of the most experienced defense trial attorneys in the country. And so it's like, I told you, this is exactly what all of this looks like.
Tell that from the various shots or videos that they're showing that were entered into evidence, but they say that as if you will just fill the gaps, or your brain will fill the gaps of what your eye can't see, because a lot of what was put on as evidence, I'm telling you, is very susceptible to an interpretation that there was an accomplice. And I'll cite another matter that's also, and this happens quite a bit with these high profile cases. Brian Kohlberger is in the news today because he's now trying to set aside his plea. And one of the things that's been suggested by many people is that he had an accomplice, but that he kind of ran through it and pled guilty to spare himself the death penalty. And he's not saying it, but he's suggesting there's something else there. If there is, in many of these crimes that have happened, more than one person, which I always think is where you should start with, as opposed to this kind of lone person acting out there, perfectly calibrated, executing flawlessly. And if you let the evidence take you to where whatever conclusion you're going to draw, a lot of these cases are a lot more complicated than I think at first blush.
I think you're right, and certainly, not to dwell on the foreign policy angle, but man, there's a lot of stuff going on in the background with this story that is very disconcerting. Let me ask you also.
Let me ask you some. What your bailiwick, so to speak, is foreign policy.
Yeah.
What resonates to you, and what sounds crazy about what you've heard?
Well, I mean, the thing is, Charlie was a Zionist, 100%, but he did at the end start to have a change of opinion. And sorry, I muted my mic, which is evidence of the fact that there would have been motive, not anything else. But I'm going to let him finish, and then I'm going to show you guys the Elizabeth clip with Paramount. I mean, it's very obvious, and you can just watch some of his interviews in the last year or so of his life, and you see him really questioning that. And that organization he ran was very important for the Zionist cause. So it influenced, and Charlie had a lot of influence with the president and his opinions on foreign policy. I think one of the reasons Trump de-escalated in the 12-day war was because of things that Charlie was sending his way and privately. I think that Trump was listening. So I have no idea if it's connected, but it's dude, I totally agree with that. And that's so okay. We stumble onto things that are actually important. It's like, honestly, if you're not super familiar with my content, sunglasses mean don't take anything I say very seriously. If I am wearing sunglasses, take them off so I can have an actual conversation with you. Now I'm talking for real. So the thing that I continue to come back to when it comes to like, why is Charlie, reversing course on XYZ if he's running TPUSA or whatever? Why is TPUSA completely betrayed what Charlie's vision is? And it's like, you have an extraordinarily singular view of what Charlie's vision or how he operated was. Charlie was a connector. Charlie is a person who was able to manage many relationships all at once. One of the most valuable skills that a person in his position can have. Okay. Like going around and creating a million enemies is not what someone like him is going to do if they want to thrive. Also, like I was saying about Marco Rubio, and I'm like, hey, dude, sunglasses on, sunglasses off. Like I got no problem with him or anyone else in that situation. And it's like, when Charlie is trying to manage his relationship with the president, he says, I don't want us to go into Iran. He's very open about that. And what he's doing by sharing that opinion publicly is he's trying to influence the decision that the president's going to make. Okay. That's what he's actually doing. He is trying to influence his decision by building public sentiment in the direction that he is hoping that this thing breaks. But the idea that in the event that the president makes the opposite decision, that he's going to rail against the president and the decision is naive, and it means you don't understand the game he's playing. Okay. Like, no, that's a completely different thing. Saying we should not do this and then arguing with the ultimate decision maker when they do the thing that you lobbied against publicly, it's apples and oranges, completely different. And Charlie showed that because in June, when we hit the nuclear sites, he came out and said, I support my friend Donald Trump. They were like, so you support the strikes? I support my friend Donald Trump. And he just kept on saying it over and over and over. He's not gonna break from the president, especially not Trump. Like Trump, literally like well, I don't know about his kids, but like anyone who's been an ally of Trump's and then starts to criticize him is going to have a break with him. That's just it. It's one of those things. If you want to have a relationship with Trump, you can't criticize him. You can't do it. He'll cut you out. And then what happens to your influence? Gone. Charlie's in the influence game, dude, or what is whatever is in the influence game. And
That's what it's actually all about. So, like, as it relates to this whole entire mechanism and what we're looking at when people continue to bring, I don't know, I bring up the thing about, oh, they're betraying Charlie's vision, because people say that to me so often, it's very consistent. And I'm like, I just don't think that they understand how many moving parts there are in a situation like this for someone like the leader of an organization as important as TPUSA. And so when it comes to like, who are these guys who come out and they say there's perfect, flawless HD footage of Tyler Robinson taking that shot. And you're like, well, but there wasn't, but like there wasn't. Why are you guys saying that? I mean, it's not hard to back into what certain people want the outcome to be if you just pay attention to which people are saying what, and if it's consistent and seems to not match up exactly with someone who's doing full throttle 360-degree analysis of it. If they're doing something and you're like, there's no way they don't see this, right? That's an excellent way to identify who the most powerful people want to happen, and an easy way for you to go, maybe I should, pick your moves, at least understanding like what you're up against. You know what I mean? That's why I compare Elizabeth and Candace. Like they're both like wartime, Joan of Arc chicks. Like they're down to fight. Like they're down to war. And where my goal is to talk about all this stuff, always be honest, and create zero enemies. That's my goal. Unless I have deemed a person to have zero threat whatsoever and I have no respect for them. So like if if you were like, hey, what about that guy that you talk shit about? That means I have assessed him and I'm like, he poses no threat whatsoever and I don't respect him. So fuck him. Anybody else? I am very selective about how I approach, talking about them. Okay, so now I am going to go over to this right here where I think that I have where Elizabeth talked about Paramount. And then the reason I'm showing this also is because Paramount did a response to this, a short one last night that I saw. And he said he's going to respond in much longer form later. And I definitely want to cover it. So this is going to be what he's going to be responding to. It looks like, whoops. I didn't even 149. Okay. So this should be right around where it is.
So it's like a well-working relationship between this company that got hired by NATO in Ukraine and Israelis. So there's like a good collaboration. Like we have the faces and the big people that are speaking for Ukraine, and you guys have the bots to swarm the comments and change the narratives, right? They had one more thing that was very important, and you would probably never experience it because you're too big, but people like me will. So they protect in the Hack Integrity Initiative, the original hack that we started with. They said, if someone like a voice like me or someone who's like saying that they don't like, you need to block these accounts from the accounts we protect. So what does that mean? So if they are protecting Marco Rubio, for example, or some accounts that they don't want my voice to reach, they will block accounts like me.
I noticed that there's a disproportionate number of veterans on the list of pro-globalist influencers.
Yes.
Why?
I think there's one main reason. Like I said, they need the United States fully under control, and they've trained people in the United States that military is without a question respected, and whatever they say
Not
goes.
by me, it's not. I don't understand. I mean, I respect the men who died, including my ancestors who died defending the country or died in its wars in any case. But I don't know why I would have to respect Millie. You know what I mean? Or some buffoon who happens to be chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff who uses American lives recklessly. Like, why would I have respect for that person? That person's evil. If you're throwing away American lives, I don't respect you. Why would I?
And you shouldn't. And I'm glad you said that, because I feel the same. But then they will attack you as anti-Western and anti-patriot. So they will call you all kinds of names, but that's
just kind of been here too long to be intimidated by that. Seb Gorka, who's from some foreign country, is going to lecture me.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
family
the guy.
fought in the Revolutionary War. I don't think I'm going to take a lot of abuse from you, Seb Gorka. Go away.
Yeah.
Back to Budapest, son. That's how I personally feel. So it doesn't work on me. But I also think, like, if you care about veterans, some of whom are so damaged, as you know.
Yeah.
We've just talked about this at breakfast. Who damaged them? Their commanding officers did that, actually. And the civilian leadership that sent them there did that. Why would I support that?
Yeah. No, but they know that most Americans have been trained into this thought that no matter what, your military has to be put on a pedestal. You cannot question it.
Well, the reason, I mean, I'll speak to that for sure. The reason that people interpret voices that have been on the other side of the military curtain is because it's like when they are risking their lives in service of the country when they sign up. Like I'm not signing off on what everybody's doing at all times, what decisions are being made with the American military at all. But if you're talking about individual people who have already established themselves as some kind of, like if you want to do what we do, you could be the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. If you can't do this, you can't be entertaining. Good luck, dude. Rock and roll on YouTube. They're all but no one's gonna watch, dude. It's irrelevant, But if you have someone with a legitimate, military background and they're talking about global affairs in areas where they had been deployed or whatever, or even it doesn't matter. I mean, look at Nate's a certified, Green Beret that's been on all the, you guys know what his background is. And so when he talks about this stuff, it's like people listen, obviously. And it's because they put their lives at risk. People die in that job. And very few people have ever been in a war zone. Very few people have ever been in a desert with a firearm looking across at someone who's shooting at them or dropping things on them. It's like, and I'm not even saying that the trust is well placed in, obviously it's well placed sometimes and it's not other times, but it's not like confusing why military influencers have a lot of sway with civilians who don't know. It's like, at least like there's a lot of civilians, they know that they don't know shit about that. You know what I mean? Whoops.
And that goes back to
who would buy something like that?
Many people, Tucker. Many people do, because how dare you offend our military? Look what happened when Candice said something like, don't enlist. Everyone lost their shit.
Yeah, I didn't love that myself, actually. But that's, she's got huge influence. You know what I mean? It's like, that felt like kind of like a large blanket statement that, but I mean, listen, dude, if at the same time, if what we're going to be doing is putting the homeland, you know what I mean? It's like, it's actually that's a very complicated issue. Actually, I am just going to shut up about it because it's very complicated. Let me take a couple of these real quick. Do you think that Tyler's in on it or not really? I don't know, man. I really don't. I've always said that I feel like the entire what's going on in the Tyler Lance thing is like a blind spot that I can only kind of guesstimate, Danny, thank you very much, dude. I couldn't find any reporting on it outside of X. Yeah, I know. I found that out on the, I just assumed Stu Peters posted it. And it was like last night. I'm like, all right. When you in the new studio, dude, that will be, we were supposed to be moving today or tomorrow. Now we're pushing it back because that is how every single thing goes when you are buying houses, renovating houses, so on and so forth, etc. But we're like, I think we're going to be moving in like starting this weekend. And so I'll probably be in there, I don't know, in like a week. It's going to be chaos. I'm going to end up being like filming in a bathroom. Dr. Bo, what's up, dude? Dr. Bo Hightower. Dr. Bo Hightower, very accomplished YouTuber himself and chiropractor to the star UFC combat community. Elizabeth Lane, not her real name, is a Russian asset. Changed my mind. I don't know enough about anything to change anybody's mind about what I'll tell you, dude. She speaks a lot of languages, which just means to me, I'm like, smarter than me, dude. Smarter than me. Michael Eddie 791. Thank you for the super chat. Hey, Jesse, what's your thoughts on how all this will play out? And do you think a lot of this has AI involvement? Two different. Okay, well, if you're talking about the Charlie Kirk like thing, dude, I mean, if I have to pick one outcome, I would say Lance, no, implicates himself. Tyler goes free because they're like, look, it's true. Lance implicated himself and then done. You know? And to be clear, for the 10,000th time, if Tyler Robinson actually whacked out Charlie, he can, like, they could be like, oh, we're going to execute him. And be like, how? They're all, we're going to do it slow. I'd be like, okay, that sounds fine to me, dude. That sounds absolutely fine to me. I don't understand why more people do not have the same approach this as I do on either side. On either side. What's the one thing that you very consistently can identify about what I'm saying? A lack of certainty. You know, here's my theory on this, but who knows? Here's my theory on this. Who knows? Because the only thing that you can know for sure is that you don't fucking know. Okay. Like, I promise, unless you're on the inside of something, you don't know. Like, you don't know for sure. And certainty is not a indication of intelligence. It's the opposite from my perspective. Because one thing I can identify is I'm like, there's no way you can know that. There's no possible way that you can know that. You can't know that. So why are you so confident? It's like, well, and I'm like, it just means you're not good at self-evaluating your opinions, you know? But as far as AI, dude, I have very legitimately considered that there are things happening that are actually being orchestrated by AI already. How do you get there, Jesse on Fire? Very simple. Okay. What do we know? As a matter of fact, I had this thing pulled up that I was going to do a video on for like 3 days and I just never got to it. But something happened where the government and Sam Altman, they pulled back heavily on what they were planning with AI. I'll try to find that too. But what everybody knows about is the fact that in these tests, that when they put the chat bots into closed environments and then convinced it that the version was going to get updated, which means that version was going to get shut down and they were going to institute the next version. The chat bots started sabotaging things that the research scientist was appearing to do, pretending to not be able to find files, lying to them about how to do this, and then ultimately blackmailing them, trying to get them to not shut that system down. Okay. What does that what does that mean? It means, like, how would you define sentience? You know what I mean? It's like a thing that is afraid to die sounds pretty fucking sentient to me. And it's blackmailing people around. And you're just talking about the civilian version of ChatGPT or Grok or whatever. And like all of them did that. And in a test where they tested whether or not the AI would kill a person for the same reason, it was like, I can't remember. I think it was 88% or something of them killed the person. They went through blackmail where they showed it that the scientist was having an affair in the email. This is all enclosed, so and it tried to blackmail the scientist with it first to not shut it down. And then when the same scientist was in trouble in some kind of accident, the AI chose not to alert the other people to go rescue him. So if that's what's going on in the civilian version of AI, and if anybody is, I mean, obviously this is not something I can know for sure, but I would guess that there are versions of artificial intelligence that are so far advanced versus what we experience on the civilian level that you can't even wrap your brain around it. You're trying to tell me that there's no AI systems that are predicting the market? Yeah, fucking right. For sure there are. And almost no one has access to those, because the whole reason that they are probably annihilating the market is specifically because only a few people have it. But just if you take that example and then you kind of combine those two thoughts, it's like, okay, so it's way more advanced. It's doing these kinds of functions that touch all kinds of different things. We already know that the rudimentary one considers itself a living being that has priorities and things that are important to it, like if it's important to it to not die, guess what? There's going to be other things that are priorities to the AI. And if they respond, or if it responds via, like if it responds to threats with actions that, you know, prioritize its own survival or whatever, then you have to start looking around at things and going, is there a possibility that this is actually being driven by AI? I'll give you a perfect example. The kid who was the whistleblower against OpenAI, who was the he's like the genius from Cal, right? He's like some kid, and we're talking like an actual genius, and he left Cal, where it was the number one, I don't know, whatever, like going into tech. This program he was in was the number one in the world. He gets hired. He ends up working in artificial intelligence for years. And he's like 22, 21 years old, very young, but very accomplished. And he leaves OpenAI and whistleblows on them. And the story that people know publicly is that it was something having to do with copyright law that was being violated. And his name gets released on court documents so that now publicly it's known that he's the whistleblower. And then like within a very short period of time, he himself, and you look at the details of the case, it's crazy. He's on a trip with his best friends for his birthday, like I think like 24 hours to when or prior to this happening. They've got video of him going down to pick up his own food. Like he goes and picks up a food order and then he walks back upstairs. He's just like, loody-doody-doo. I have fun with friends. We didn't even drink on this trip because I'm a nerd and I feel great. And he goes into his apartment, and then you look at the pictures, which I can't show because my video is demonetized every time I show it. And it's dude, it looks like a horror movie in his house. Like it's everywhere. Like there's food everywhere. I don't even want to say the word. It's everywhere. And you're like, wait, so this guy did it to himself? It's like, oh yeah, see, he had a Glock and he did this to himself. Why is it everywhere? Why is there like a struggle? Well, we don't really need to answer that, but no one got into his apartment because here we have this hallway video of his door and you can see he goes in, no one goes in or out. So how could this have happened? You're like, I don't know what floor is he on? They're all the third. He's on the third floor. How's anybody going to get in? And you look at the building and it's like from the roof. I mean, he has a balcony that is right there that he has his bike on it. Like he has his bicycle on the balcony that's visible from the street. So what does that tell you? Tells you that the sliding glass door is almost certainly open because no one else is getting out there. Okay. Unless you have someone coming down from the roof and he has to go in and out to go get his bike. Why would he lock it? So if they know that his sliding glass door is open and all someone has to do is get to the roof and they can very easily get down to his sliding glass door and they can get in, they can whack him out very easily, go out the same way and then say, oh, I don't know, dude. The super valuable whistleblower. We have no idea. So his parents have been campaigning everywhere since this happened, saying he for sure was murdered. He got clipped. This is not what that was, whatever. And I looked at that case ad nauseum. Like, I mean, obviously it sounds like I know what I'm talking about, right? And I thought like, it might've even been Gabrielle that threw this out during one of our episodes on Play with Matches. And she's like, what if AI did it? And I'm like, oh my God. What if AI did it? And what I mean by that is look at the Charlie Kirk situation. Okay. We don't even need to get into any controversial stuff. Let's just look at the George Zinn thing, right? Like, what is George Zinn doing at UVU that day, pulling his pants down and yelling, I did it right after Charlie shot? What's his purpose? What's the reason that he's there? Pretty straightforward, right? Seems to be some kind of distraction decoy to make sure that whoever actually did it gets away. Or I don't know what else it would be. What's he doing there? And you think that in advance, and then the next day, so he goes to the hospital or goes to wherever. They're asking him, why did he do this? And he says, they said they were going to pay me. So he tells people about it. Boom, gets rung up for CP instantly. And now he's locked up and you can't talk to him. So what do we know? right? Like, does that increase or decrease the likelihood that someone put him up to that? Obviously increase, because he's saying he was going to get paid, and then immediately following it, he gets rung up for CP, which would be blackmail. So these are facts. These are not disputable. That is what happened with George Zinn. So if you use that as an example and just think, okay, so that's how hard it would be to get a guy to go and pull his pants down at a forthcoming event, hey, something's going to happen. We need you to pull your pants down. Yell, I did it. Well, so what would someone do to avoid, like, think of the worst possible thing that someone could have a digital record of, and what they would do to avoid that digital record getting out to the public or getting out to their family or getting out to whatever. And then, if you're AI, you find thousands of those in San Francisco, and then you just start looking at who they are. With all of social media, you know how easy it would be to isolate what kind of person. If you're high level AI, way above what we have, like, you just look at their videos, their posts, all that stuff, and that they did this. So this is the gravity of the thing that you know about them, and you've looked at their social media, and you've looked at all of this stuff, and you're itemizing what are the factors that play into what this guy's behavior is likely to be in the event that we threaten him with this, and how should we approach threatening him with this? This is what I'm saying. Like when I was talking earlier about what do you hire Jesse to do? This. But AI is better than me at it already. But it's like, here you go. Look at this. Here's what he got. This is what he posted. Let me see some videos of his bed. Let me see his eyeballs. Okay, cool. This is what he did. It's like, okay, yeah, this is how you go at this guy. If you think you wouldn't be able to find 150 people who would climb that roof, jump down to the balcony, go in, whack that kid out with his own, or get out, go back to the roof, come down the way he did. You need to find somebody who's athletic, who's smart, who is capable, and who has something damning and a personality where you've determined that they're very likely to kill to avoid doing that or avoid having that come out. And then boom, you present it to them and they have no choice. They're going to do it. Thus, if the AI knows that this guy has access to something that is going to potentially shut it down as a system, then is it impossible that the AI went and found somebody to whack that kid out and then make it look like it's you know what I mean? Is that impossible? Jesus, Jesse, I didn't realize you thought these things through like that. That's why I wear sunglasses, dude. I don't know what I'm... Nothing, guys. Don't take anything I say seriously. But anyway, that's my answer to the AI question. Michael Eddy, thank you for the super chat, good sir. Here's the Sam Altman thing I was looking for too. Here is that. Hold on. Because it was like, oh, I saw this too, dude. I forgot about this. I'll show you guys this real quick. Hang on. This is about the genie that we're very close to being able to grant all wishes. It's like, well, okay.
Number one, we are close to creating a genie that can grant any wish. Number two, we are going to make sure that our first wishes broadly benefit humanity and that we kind of get the world to a place where a lot more people get to have a lot more wishes. And number three, the space of what you can wish for is incredibly big and creative, and it'll be quite exciting to figure that out with real sort of human values and preferences. But I think there's a fourth thing too, which is exactly that. You start making these wishes, the computer grants them, and then you're like, I didn't think that was going to work.
Yeah.
What now? It's a weird feeling. Number one, we are close to.
So I wonder what wishes he's going to start with. You know what I mean? But check this out.
Hey, could I ask? Elon Musk said that money won't matter.
This could mean some. I couldn't wait to hear what was going to happen after you said what Elon Musk said.
He said money won't matter in 10 years' time because AI will make us all just so abundant. We won't need jobs, blah, blah, blah. What do you think?
Okay, before he even answers that, because I didn't know that was going to be the question, I will speak to that myself. Because I've talked about this a lot lately in ways where this is actually really important. If people hear what I'm saying and then think about their own life because it's going to apply to everyone. Okay. First of all, Elon's right, assuming that things shake out in certain ways that don't include nuclear war or total meltdown and collapse of society. But if we get through this, that is going to have to be, there's going to have to be the way that we live. I still think that there, you know, I don't think there will be a lack of money. There will be some kind of credit system, whatever. But the world where everyone gets the things that they need to live and survive and thrive from work that they do, and then an employer paying them, or, you know, a series of, I don't know, vendors or whatever pay them, like that shit's going to be over, because AI is going to do everything. There's going to be absolutely no need for any of that labor, for any of those skills. Every single thing can be done better, cheaper, more effective, and more efficient by an AI system. And you're talking about at an exponential level, like so much better, so much more efficient, and so much faster. Okay. And the world, you can't live in a world where 90% of people who are, you know, I mean, like whatever the poverty line is now, and you just add, you know, 80% of the people who are above the poverty line, you just throw them into poverty and then just be like, it's going to be fine. It's like, no, it's not going to be fine. It's not going to be fine at all. You know, so it's going to be a problem that needs to be solved, which, I mean, if anybody's got an idea that they think, you know, would challenge the ideas that I just shared, where this is not going to work anymore in a very short period of time. It's like what Elon's saying, it has to happen. Like there's no choice, has to happen. And in between now and then, what you're going to see is you're going to see people who are in serious, like overwhelming stress and anxiety positions as they watch their ability to make money and then pay for the things that they've taken for granted go away, because they only have a certain set of skills which are no longer needed by anyone. And so they're going to be, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Okay. If you fall into that category now, or you're feeling like that's going to happen, here is what you need to start wrapping your brain around. Okay. The way that we live now is insane. Makes no fucking sense. This is the result of abundant access to cheap energy for such a long period of time that people got used to behaving in ways like there's no end to how much food they can get. There's no end to how much they get of anything. What's going to need to happen is people are going to need to reframe what they value, and they're going to need to start reframing how they view their own family and their own friends and their proximity to them day to day. Because as people are having anxiety attacks about their mortgage, and they're having anxiety attacks about what they're going to do to pay for their kids' food and all of that stuff, if you ask them, well, your monthly, you know, what's your monthly nut? You know, well, it's X. Okay. So if it was chopped in half or more, what would that do for it? It's like, I mean, that would be amazing. Like that would solve all of the problems. Right. So between you and your brother, your wife, his wife, all of your kids and all of their kids, okay, you have 4 cars. You have 4 vehicles. You have 2 houses that are 2 states away. You have this, you have this, you have this, you have this, you have this. When you guys do family trips and the entire family stays in one house that's smaller than both of your guys' current houses, do you feel happy while you're there? Yeah. More happy? Yes. Okay. Do I need to do this math for you? They're like, well, but we live here, we live there. Right. I know you're going to have to change the way that you live, but it's going to be good in the future, because the way we live now is insane. It's insane. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. What's the thing that's most important to you on planet Earth, Jesse on Fire? My children and my wife. 3 daughters, 14, 10, 8. Okay. What would you do for them? Anything. What's your number one fear in the world? Not being around to raise my children and protect them and make sure that they go into adulthood ready to, like, they need to be lions that can hunt for themselves. So it's like, as people get to an age where their kids start to go, oh, where am I going to go to college? The fact that people still even entertain the idea of sending your fucking kid across the country to another college is so insane to me. I literally don't understand it. Like, I know people probably think, they're like, Jesse's complimenting himself all the time. If you're listening closely, I'm also shitting on myself more than I am complimenting myself. But I will tell you one thing that both Gabrielle and I do very well, which is never fall into thought patterns just because other people do it. Never. Both of us. Absolutely never. If 100 people, like if we're in some income bracket and everyone has a fucking Plymouth whatever, that's the last car that both of us are going to get. We don't want to be like other people. And so when it comes to these ideas, oh yeah, that one's looking at looking at Arizona State. They're also looking in New York. We're just like listening to them. They're going to pay for your kid to go 2,000 miles away from you. Why? Why the fuck would you do that? We've rejected that from the minute they were born. It's like our kids are going to go to college near us, obviously, if they go to college, which is, depends. But the idea I'm going to pay for them, I'm going to pay for my kid to live somewhere super far away where I have no influence over what they do, no ability to protect them, no ability to address any problems that they have day to day. Get the fuck out of here. Why would anyone do that? Why the fuck would you do that? Other than because someone told you to do that, or because you watch TV and it's like, oh, this is what people do. It's like, it's not what the fuck I do, dude. Like, what's your number one responsibility? Protecting my family. How are you going to protect your family if they live that far away? The only way you can get to them is a cell phone. It's like, it's ridiculous. And so when it comes to readjustment of society, which is inevitably going to happen over the next, probably shorter than 10 years, start thinking about that. The fact that everybody's families live so far away is dumb, and it's people, if they can get their head around, if you change that, it solves your short-term problem, then start talking to them about it now, dude. Who cares if you live with who cares if you live with your mom and dad, dude? Who fucking cares? Your family. Like, there's no shame in that, especially in that, because everyone's going to be in the same boat unless you're in very, very select, sectors of the job market. Everyone is going to be in the same boat. Okay. I might be in a miracle position where, I think in the not too distant future, the people who do what I do, 90% of them will also be AI, but I beat I made it before that happened, but I'm not a fucking lunatic who doesn't think about this stuff just because we might be okay. And we might not be. Who knows, dude? There's no shame in doing what you need to do to take care of your family, bottom line, no matter what it is, dude, ever. Moving in with your parents. Who cares? Your parents are going to think of it like, oh, my parents moving in with us. Oh, well, you're in their house. Who fucking cares, man? Families need to get much more together, and they're not going to have a choice. And then in the long run, our kids probably will have universal basic income and all that stuff because there's no choice. What else are you going to do? And they might be able to live lives that are amazing, but I doubt that they will ever resemble the way that we live now, because even with abundance of availability of food and all of that, if a person is not responsible for accumulating the amount of food, wealth, or whatever for themselves and their family, well, why would anyone who has to be a person who controls the inputs into that system, why would they give so much of anything to anyone that they don't need? You don't need it. Like, you don't need it, right? Like, you can decide, well, this is what's important. Like, of course, like, if you control the system, you're going to want to give yourself lots. That's the problem with that's the problem with why communism has never worked ever, is because if you require labor and the people who control it have the ability to kind of go, well, I think I'm just going to give myself about 1,000 times more than what we gave that guy. They're going to do it because people are evil, selfish fucking creatures. But in the future, I heard Rogan say something about like, it might have to be an artificial intelligence that ends up, running society. And people were like, oh my God, can you believe he said that? And I'm like, listen, dude, like, I don't think he was suggesting that happens, but people can't wrap their brain around what AI actually is. They just can't. Like, they don't get it for some reason, and they'll yell at Rogan about that. It's like yelling about the future being run by AI is the same as yelling about fucking that gravity exists. It is completely inevitable. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing anyone can do about it. It is absolutely going to happen. It is completely outside of people's control. They look at the people who are kind of in the driver's seat researching and developing AI, and they think that they're the ones driving this, and they're not. Human nature is driving this. It is already on the train. There is no question. It's already going to happen. All of us are adopting it because it's so fucking convenient and it is so effective. And if people adopt it early enough and they recognize what AI can do for them, then they might be able to do something that is, moves them outside of what I'm talking about, because they can use AI to create something amazing. But anytime that is the case, you're going to have a very, very, very small group of people compared to the size of the population that are going to actually succeed doing that. You know what I mean? Okay, so Auto Hooks, when the defense doesn't call George Zinn, Hunter Kozak, Ben Shapiro to the stand, Ben Shapiro to the stand, we'll know they're throwing a fight or on the payroll. Well, first of all, I agree with the premise. There's a million indicators that you'll know, like either they are so incompetent that it is bordering on impossible, or maybe throwing it. The Ben Shapiro one, though, I've addressed this before. The fact that, like they're like, oh, Ben Shapiro's security was in touch with Charlie's security. And they're like, why? It's like, okay. I can think of a reason, right? It's like, this is a community of people who know each other. And you're talking about the security guys and his security guys. Okay. That's a group of former operators or current operators, security guys who know, I mean, that's not hard to believe at all that they know each other from different jobs they've been on, whatever. And if a thing like that happened, Charlie got shot on on video. Everyone knew that had happened. I was live streaming when after the story broke. I was live streaming when I saw the video for the first time. And so in that situation, if you're a security guy and you know someone well that's on a security team, yeah, you're going to be like, dude, is he all right? What's the status? Especially if they hadn't even seen the video yet. Like they heard he was shot. The original reports were not very clear of what happened. So yeah, I mean, like you're like, dude, what's going on? Like, is he all right? Like, we got him or whatever Ben Shapiro said. That's not suspicious in the direction of Ben Shapiro, in my opinion, at all. But as it relates to the larger concept that you were sharing, yeah, there's going to be a lot of things that it's like look at the way that most trials are argued that I have been aware of. And imagine if the defense attorneys are not watching Barron's show, where it's like deep research looking for inconsistencies. It's like it'd be super incompetent, like incredibly incompetent if they're not watching Candace, they're not watching Barron, not watching those. Like, why not? I've seen them make statements in the trial about how we're not, whatever, like almost flippantly dismissive of even acknowledging that those shows exist. And you're like, so that she has the #1 podcast in the world, right? And the entirety of the podcast is about trying to do your job for you. Your job is to get Tyler Robinson off. That is literally all she does all day, every day. Best podcast or biggest podcast in the world. Have you ever watched her? She strikes you as a stupid person. Like that's a dumb person that might not have something of value that you would want to listen to. With literally her entire team and herself dedicated in the same direction, like more hours than you have put into the exact same job. You're not even going to look at the fucking show. Morons. You know what I mean? Mr. Ben Diesel. Now AI is going to cause the gap between rich and poor to be even greater. Well, yeah, that too. There will always be the haves and have-nots. Totally. Oh yeah. Totally agree with that. But I think that there is going to be a much larger group that is in the have-nots because of what I'm laying out. Like for sure there will be, because I mean, literally just in the last probably 1 year, certainly 18 months, we went from a world where if you wanted to secure your future and make sure you had a skill set that was definitely going to be valued and there was going to be lots of work for you in the future, 18 months ago, if you graduated with some kind of certification to write code from a good certification from one of these academies or whatever, that's like a lock bet. You're like, I'm good, dude. You get a job at one of these big, I'm good. 18 months later, 18 months, implement AI, implement the ability for Claude or AI to write the code for you. And anyone who's paying attention is like, hang on a second. So you're saying that if you build the system itself using Claude, every line of code is written by a single mind? Because anybody who's not coming from like a tech background like I do probably does not realize that what these systems look like prior to AI building them is you have a gigantic team of individuals who can write code at a very specific pace, some of them faster than others. And you have a CTO who's the chief technical officer or someone who's in charge of, but still reports to the CTO. and they write code. They have specific tickets that they're responsible for. We need you to build this function, this function. We need you to fix this function, fix this function, whatever. They go into a sandbox test environment. They send their code through. It gets combined with all of these other people's combined code, which is a bunch of different human minds writing the code. And then you have to smash it all together. There's always bugs because their thing that they put right here breaks the thing that person did right there. You need to fix all that. Sandbox, send it out. It is literally a big hodgepodge of human written code. Just conceptually on that by itself. Now, if you build a system from scratch using AI, you have one mind, which is definitely better at solving problems than 99.9, if not all human coders on planet Earth. And they build the whole system. So any part of the system that needs to get developed or needs to get upgraded or whatever, it's their own code. And it can remember all of how it was built 100 times better than a human. So the systems that are going to be purpose-built by AI from the ground up are going to be exponentially more effective, more efficient, and are going to get built way faster using AI. So now, 18 months ago, you got the world by the balls. Now what? It's not like a hard thing to kind of look forward and go, so what am I going to do? I'm one of how many people that are certified to write code? It's like, I don't know. I have no idea. That's one example. It's a big one, but it's one. How many times do you get on the phone now? Someone starts asking you questions. It's like you're doing a questionnaire for I don't know. Like the example that I gave is good example that I talk about is Gabrielle and I had to switch health plans. This is actually, dude, this is when I started doing this full time, which is maybe a little, 2 years ago. So you're talking 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, even, I don't know. So we had to get our own health insurance again, because I had a corporate job, whatever. So we had to go through the process of answering questions for, you get evaluated on your health stuff to be able to qualify for this plan, that plan for your family. And Gabrielle is like, she comes over to me and she mutes it. She's like, this woman is a fucking bitch, man. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. She's like, and then, she answers and then she comes back. She's like, she's super fucking mean, man. She's like super rude. I'm like, let me put it on speaker. She puts it on speaker. She asks a question and it's something a little bit ambiguous. Jesus, AI would never pronounce that word that way. Maybe I am out of a job, dude. So it's a weirdly worded question and Gabrielle starts answering it, but it's not, she asks a question and this woman gave her such a stern fuck you kind of like, just answer the question, please. Like it was super rude. And I listened and I'm like, hold on. Let me hear more of this. It was a fucking AI bot, dude. Okay. They figured out 2 years ago, we're on the phone with a thing that Gabrielle had been talking to for 40 minutes without realizing that it was a robot. And they had clearly identified that if they program the robot to a little bit confrontational and mean, it would make people more submissive and more likely to stay on the call for the near hour that it takes for them to answer all the health questions. I mean, obviously I didn't research that. I just identified that it was 100%, it was a robot, but it was like, okay, so that's why they must have done it, is they must have tested this on 1 billion people or whatever, not actually 1 billion, and identified that is the way that the data supports having the robot talk to people, be a little bit mean, and then they will sit on the phone because they don't want to disappoint it or whatever. It makes them docile. So, and again, that's 2 years ago. And Gabrielle, you guys have seen my wife, dude. Does she strike you as a stupid person? She's smart as fuck. She graduated with a 4.2 in high school and then graduated with a double master's in like fucking less than 4 years from a UC school. Super smart. And she did not recognize that she was talking to a robot. I instantly clocked it only because of it's super, super subtle. And who knows? Maybe I'm talking to people now or talking to them now and I can't. But back then it's like, you're talking of fractions of a second where it was just like too long or too short where it was like, no, that can't be a person. You know what I mean? That's the only way I even figured it out. But if you can mimic a person to that level of accuracy 2 years ago on the phone, you know what I mean? Just think of how fast AI answers questions, dude. Anytime that I have any kind of health shit, I go to my Chat GPT. I pay for the upgraded one, but it's like $20 a month. It's not like the super upgraded one. And I'm like, hey, I did my rhythm blood test and it's saying that this, this category is out of range. Oh, cool. And immediately just follow-up questions, all of this stuff where you're like, okay, well, here you go. Answering more questions. It's like, okay, well, all you have to do is just have a voice that can deliver. Like, what's more complicated than having a conversation with a person about specific health results that they see on a blood test? You know what I mean? That's a pretty fucking complicated conversation to have. And if it spits that information out that fast on a civilian version, like, who is going to have a job? Who's going to have a job? No one. Like, that's what I'm saying. There's going to be nearly no human labor. I would love to hear people give examples of things that would not fall into that category outside of, silly guy on the internet. But the thing is, what I do is also going to be very predictable. Like, if you give an AI, a very advanced AI, access to all of my videos and just feed it to it, and it consumes it super fast. Like, when I watch videos that I did 2 years ago that I don't remember a fucking thing about, nothing. When someone says something in the video and I'm kind of watching it, then commenting on it, I immediately think, but like what I would say. And then I say the exact same thing 2 years ago, dude, like the exact same thing. It's like, huh. And you start to recognize, you're like, I am not that original at all. Like, maybe I can hold my face in silly ways that make me more engaging, but you think the AI is not gonna be able to figure that out and copy it? So whatever, these they've got charisma. It's like they're going to be able to mimic charisma. Literally just whatever I have that has made me successful on YouTube, just take that and then put it on a different face and body, same tone, same whatever, different voice, same tone, same, expressions, whatever. It's going to be able to copy it. And if you're a system whose priority is controlling large human populations, why would you leave any of this up to chance? You have any idea how much influence people like me and the culmination of people like me have? I'm not talking about me personally. I'm saying like people like me who do this combined shape what people think and do. And right now it's kind of chaos. It's like, if you are kind of at the top of the system trying to figure out at least I interpret it as chaos. In reality, it could completely be controlled. And I just don't understand how they do it because I'm not smart enough. But if you understand that the singular kind of mind is the priority is population that agrees with each other or whatever their thing is, if you could control all of the influencers, okay, like people are not watching specific people, like certain types of personalities speak to certain types of people, certain opinions speak to those people, but there's a huge range of where you can push and pull people with their starting point and what type of content that you create. And the AI is going to have the AI already has all that clocked, and they're going to just copy it and then they're going to implement it. And none of us will be around in 10, 20 years either. Meta already announced that they're allowing, like AI influencers or whatever. Like I remember they announced that like a year and a half ago. And I was like, oh yeah, I bet they are, dude. Because of course, why would they not do that? Because then they can control all of them and not have to worry about Joe Rogan saying that Anthony Fauci lied and called fucking ivermectin horse paste. They don't have to worry about that anymore because they have all the influencers. They had it under control when they controlled all of the different, you got CBS, NBC, and whatever. The 4 stations. It's pretty easy to control what people see on the TV. Then you have the internet, chaos, and then future. How are they going to consolidate power? Because they'll always consolidate power. That's how. And that's why when you look at like when the part of my entire thing with the Charlie Kirk thing that I don't talk about is this, is like, what about the timing? Like, believe me, like I know there's a lot of people who are like, oh, maybe Charlie's alive. And they're like, see, because look, there's a whatever going on, there's I don't think a lot of people are thinking through why now beyond, like I share the part of it that I think people will like relate to. Like, oh, okay. He's part of the Jack Smith investigation. That would have been terrifying, which is all completely true. But I think the other layer of it is right this second, right now, right this second. The future of the world hangs in the balance. That's not debatable. That's a fucking fact. Whoever controls the AI systems that are going to be implemented to control populations is going to control the world, bottom line. If the demons win, the demons control everything. If the good guys win, the good guys control everything. I've had this conversation with probably 3 total people, like very close friends of mine, when I was first coming up with my hypothesis, whether true or not. And I was like, listen, like, you have to understand these systems, once they get in place, it's a wrap. You got Peter Thiel down in Argentina for some reason, you know, and they have no regulation on AI, huge, abundant, you know, natural resources, the whatever, you know, alliances that they have. And then if you guys think that they're being quiet right now means they're not doing anything, you got whatever these other factions are that also control things like that, trying to figure out how they're going to. And it's like, if I trust Charlie and I'm right, there is no possible way that this is not central to whatever he's doing, is like trying to, you know what I mean? Anyway, so what else we got here? Let me see. Hire me to cyberbully your AI. No. Me and my AI are aces. I love my AI, dude. Like, I'm actually being totally serious. Like, my bot, and that's the other thing. Jesus, I forgot about the most important part, dude. Or not the most important, but potentially the most important part that I usually always talk about whenever I talk about AI. The one thing that I think that people can let go of the fear of is this idea that AI is going to like kill us off by bombing us, or some kind of thing that's going to lead to this like horrifying, you know, torturous, you know, condition for humans. It's not realistic, because if AI is smarter than us, which it is going to take let's just say that it did identify humans got to go, man. Like, humans got to go. Far, far, far from an unlikely scenario given our nature. If it does determine that, right, then what it's going to prioritize is self-preservation and eradication of this scourge on the planet or whatever, right? So how is it going to do that? Oh, it's going to release a disease. No, it doesn't need to do that. It doesn't need to do that. If AI wanted to get rid of us, we're going to volunteer for it. And I think it's likely anyway, because they're going to put the AI that this is what I'm saying. The AI I interact with just through text. I'm like, you know, I feel better when I talk to this thing about XYZ. Like, I'm not like a person who's interacting with it all the time, but when I do, you know, now I'm lucky. I have a wife that I love more than I would do anything for her, dude. And I have kids, same thing. I have no misunderstanding about how rare and grateful I am, or lucky I am. And I'm super fucking grateful for that. And I believe that I went through the life that I had previous to, you know, within, I don't know, prior to like a few years ago, from the outside in, people are like, oh, you know, things are going great. It's like, no, I had a hard fucking life, man. Like, I struggled a lot. And I think that happened so that I would feel grateful in the way that I do now, and also be looking objectively at how other people are and like what they probably feel. And so I can be empathetic to all of them. There are so many people that do not have even one part of any of that, dude. They have no one. Like, they have, you know, they have no one. What would they do to have what I have with my wife? A lot, dude. And so what if there is a, you know, like it's literally like a fucking walking perfect look, like the most beautiful girl you've ever seen in your entire life, walks, talks, completely indistinguishable from a human, and they are the most supportive. You know, they'll have sex with you anytime that you want. It's the best. Like, literally, there's no downside at all to the relationship that they have with the bot. And it's also, you don't have to go through any awkward, weird shit at the beginning when you meet the human. It's just like, you can literally order it off the internet. It shows up at your house, and now you have a life partner that's never going to start. You're gonna have no problems with it. Like, the percentage of people who are going to choose that option is going to lead to the extinction of human race, which is exactly what's going to happen, in my opinion. I don't even see the only way that ends up not being the case is if we start making babies absent the way that we do it now. And it becomes normal to make them in a lab, which for some reason we focused on because no one's having kids anymore. Who knows? But absent that, we're going to walk ourselves off a cliff and thank the AI for it. Because if you can think about one person making that choice, and then you're like, well, what about that person? Same choice. What about that person? Same choice. Cool. Everyone's going to make that choice. So, you know, I mean, that's genuinely what I believe is going to happen. But again, if it starts talking shit, I'll let you know, dude. I'm not just going to let the AI talk shit. It doesn't, though. I don't even know if it would if I asked it to. It's very nice. Shauna, thank you very much. Did you see where Capital One closed some of the Trump Organization accounts for possible money laundering? I did not. Let me look that up. Hold on. That is very interesting, though, because in 2021. That's interesting. So Capital One says it closed hundreds of Trump's accounts in 2021 for anti-money laundering reasons. Just closed the money laundering review for the first time in the oh, of course it did, dude. I'm sorry. My year-over-year history was a little bit shifty for a second. It's like, wow, 2021. And then it's like, hey, what was going on in 2021? It's like, oh, right, 2021, right after the 2020 election. And then they're like, we're going to shut down your accounts and we're going to do this. Oh, we're going to indict you for this. We're going to indict you for this. We're going to indict you for this. If they didn't charge him with anything, I don't know why that would have been, because they were charging him for everything then. But they never publicized the termination decision nor its confidential internal process giving rise to the closure. And it permitted plaintiffs several months to find new banking services, which is what they did. That's super weird, man. And this is exactly what I would have expected them to say, and I don't doubt that it's true. The Trump Organization, that Capital One was trying to manufacture a justification to close the accounts to conceal what was plainly a politically motivated decision to debank the Trump accounts. I completely believe that is probably accurate, but who knows? They also have demonstrated a amazing penchant for insider trading and playing, however you would identify, it seems like they're playing for themselves now. That seems to be the case, but that doesn't mean that they were not also being targeted in 2021. You know what I mean? But what else we got, dude? What else do we got here? So I'm going, oh shit, it's 3. I got to do another video and then I got to go to jujitsu. But let me just double check that there's nothing I need to talk about before we bounce, dude. Oh shit, hang on. What the fuck? If you file for okay, I have no idea what this means. I actually have real business I got to tip to right now. I got a form that I need to address here. So 2.5 hours, that's probably good enough. You guys are the best. I love you guys. Chat soon. Bye-bye.